Merry Christmas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just got to figure out how to turn that music off. I guess it's over with now. Hey, Ed, how are you doing, my friend?
I am not to blame for that Jingle Bells music.
A little.
I am not to blame. I want YouTube to know that. I don't want any copyright violations. I don't want anybody to think I picked that out.
You didn't like that music, did you, Ed? You got to get something that's copyright free for us.
I almost
So,
started bouncing right there at the very end, and I decided it might be the groundwater doing that.
oh my gosh. I told you that I was going to have some special music for you. I thought you might like that. Well, good evening. How are you doing? This is your Crapsmas special or Christmas special, and we've got a couple of
Yeah.
people with us tonight. That's going to make for a good show. I'm going to be moderating the show.
I'm
If you
looking
guys have a
forward.
if you have a question, capital Q on either side in the Mid Atlantic Craps channel or over on the Roll to Win channel. Make a capital Q with a semicolon and ask your question. If you have a question for Heavy or for Gargoyle, kind of like give me some indication that's who it's for, and we'll try to get the question for them. Otherwise, my role tonight is to be moderator and just bring out the questions and let those guys have fun. Ed, any opening words from you before we bring in our guest?
Sure, I want to wish everybody out there a happy holiday season, a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a very happy and safe New Year. 2024 is coming in just a few weeks, and check out your win loss statements and see if you need to stop between now and the end of the year so you don't have to pay more taxes.
All right. There's some good advice. Right off the bat, we've got some good advice. Well, there they are. There's our guests. We've got Gargoyle down below me, and we've got the one and only from Power Access Craps. There he is. That's Steve. Steve. And Heavy, otherwise known as. Good evening to both of you.
How you doing?
Hello,
All
hello.
right.
Apparently, I wore the wrong hat.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, well,
they didn't tell me about putting on a hat, so let me get a hat on here.
Yeah,
There's my hat.
the way it is with us guys that have all this hair, we don't want to embarrass people. Luxuriant hairstyles we have. So.
here's the hats.
Here's the hats. I got one
Yep.
somewhere in here.
Yeah.
People kind of, the hat has a purpose. You see how the shadow comes right down over my eyes. In a casino, the lights are generally pretty bright, shining down on you, and it will help with that light shining into your eyes. And if you cock your head just right, you can use that center as an aiming point for your landing zone.
I don't know if that's bull crap or that's real.
That's
Don't
gospel.
don't laugh.
That is gospel right
Spot
there.
on that. I always wear a hat when I play.
Well, this is it, Ed. It's your show. Tell us what we're doing.
Well, we don't have an agenda. It's been a while since we've had these two right here where they could actually see each other and talk. They talk on the phone a lot. And I'm looking forward to hearing some stories from Gargoyle about Heavy, because Heavy's told stories about everybody else. And then I am sure that Heavy will reciprocate in some way. But I'm probably just going to sit down and watch and drink brown water tonight, and I probably won't even have to even talk
Oh my goodness.
unless I lose my filter.
Yeah,
What do you got to say
yeah.
about
No,
that,
I,
Heavy?
I, I got, I got stories. I got stories to tell about Heavy.
You do.
There
All
you
right,
go.
we're gonna have some good stories.
Don't tell them what kind of dirty laundry will get aired tonight. I just am glad I'm wearing earphones, and my bride is in 2 rooms away from me, so she can't hear anything. So we're okay, I think.
Oh my. Well, Ed, your show. I've got to go through and look for some questions, but I think did I understand there was going to be some story time? We just heard Gargoyle say that there might be some story time at first. Is that how we
Yeah, I
start
mean,
this
these
thing
two
off?
go way back. I mean, Gargoyle was probably still in puberty when they met, and,
Oh my.
and
Yeah, this
I mean,
was
they
a
were
lot
only
darker.
On him.
and then
This was a lot darker.
yeah,
Yes,
that
this
was
was
a
a
lot.
lot darker
But
when
he
we met.
was shaving then, I will say that. So he was street legal. He could get into the casino, and he was losing a little bit of money back in those days, and and he came to me and said, I need help, and we did a pretty big turnaround. We worked on his toss, got his toss tuned up, but more specifically, I just taught him a simple change to his betting strategy because uh, Gargoyle, like a lot of guys, would start out with a lot of action spread all the way across the table and get a hit. And what would he do? He would say, press it. And he'd get a hit on another number. And what would he say? Press it. And he'd get a hit on another number. And he'd just stack and stack and stack with table max in mind. Well, that's great. But you know what? You got to take some money off the table sometime. And it's very rare that you get a hand honestly, more than 8 to 10 rolls. I mean, average hand's 8.5 rolls. And for a DI with a 7 rolls ratio of 7, up around 13, 14 rolls is great. So to expect a hand to go on for 20, 30 rolls is just unrealistic. And you have to bet accordingly, which means you've got to do what? Nami? Up. What's that guy's name?
You gotta regress.
Gargoyle.
Gargoyle.
You gotta regress.
You gotta do what?
You gotta regress. You
gotta regress your damn bet. So, I'm reminded of a time in a casino where I had a guy standing next to me, one of my students, and he would bet 6,400 across. That was his opening bet. Well, the shooter tossed a 9, and he got paid what on 6,400 across? Who knows?
On 6,400, he got a 9. That's 1,400.
Got paid $1,400, and I told him, okay, regress to 640 across and lock up the difference, and you'll have a guaranteed profit for this hand, and then you can just press to the freaking moon. And you know what he told me? He said, and for those of you doing the over-under on the F-bomb count tonight, this is the first one. He said, fuck it, I came to play. And the next toss was a 7-out, right? And I turned to him and I said, fuck it, you played and you lost $6,400. How did that feel? And he just shrugged his shoulders and he threw out another $6,400 on the next shooter. Why? Because this guy had what I call stupid money. It didn't bother him because this guy was a multimillionaire. He had big bankroll. He was there to play. He wasn't there to win. He was there to play. Guys, you got to make up your mind why you're going to the damn casino. You're either there for one of two reasons. You're there for entertainment, to play, to have fun, and to get kicked in the nuts before you go home, or you're there to win. One of the two. So he wasn't there to win. Now, Gargoyle, when I met him,
I was at the table.
Gargoyle had been kicked in the nuts, and he was ready to win. So I told him how to regress and turn a profit. And he had a 6-figure turnaround the first year. So, does this crap work? Yes, it does. Do I have my detractors who say, Heavy, you are what was the word the guy used today over there on that other website? I don't remember exactly. A fucking fraud, a fucking huckster, a fucking whatever it was.
Fake old salesman, whatever you want to call you.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the point, though. When you post something online about success stories, you get these kind of responses from people who sit on the internet under trolls and don't play the game, don't understand the mathematics of the game, don't understand physics 101 as it applies to dice control, don't understand Bone Tracker, how it works, how we can cheat test all of our results and prove mathematically that what we do does work over 7,200 rolls, 72,000 rolls. And do you think guys like Ed don't have books of 7,200 rolls logged on their computer sitting there that they can go back and pull up and check those numbers? I'll guarantee you they do. So,
Yeah,
you know, we
yeah.
get these guys
And
distracted.
Steve, heavy. I do that now. I mean, I don't know. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I learned. I play the short game. Are,
Yeah,
are we going to have long rolls? Yes, of course we're going to have long rolls, but 98% of the time it's the short game. It's
exactly.
7, 8, 9 rolls and then a 7 out. Even for a DI, a DI. Well, DI doesn't mean you're gonna have long rolls or you're gonna hit your numbers. And people laugh at me, they call me liar. I don't give a shit. I know what my money is and I know what my bankroll is. I go 640 across for 3 or 4 hits, then take it down to 120 or 140, whatever it is. And then just press from there and lock up a couple of $100. And people's like, well, this guy, that guy, no, he's full of shit, blah blah blah. But this is we play for the short game. You don't. If the long game happens, then you make money. But if the short game happens, you still make a little bit. You still make a profit. And
Right.
yeah, regrets wasn't in my vocabulary when I met you. I was like, hell no, man. Let's roll. But I had to lose money so I could learn how to make money. And that's why when I'm talking to folks, I know what I'm talking about because I've been there. If you ain't lost a lot of money, you can't tell people how to play and how to bet because they haven't really lost money. I mean, others may have lost more than I did, but I lost my fair share in a very short period of time. So, you know, but speaking, I'm gonna interject stories in our conversation. So speaking of the long roll, here comes one. So Heavy, before How About Them Cowboys, Heavy wasn't so subtle in his younger days when I met him. You know, he would literally lean to you and say something in your ear that wasn't How About Them Cowboys. And if you all don't know what How About Them Cowboys means, for Heavy, it means shut the fuck up. So a while ago, we had a class in Biloxi, and we went and checked out the casinos at night. And I was staying at, it wasn't Harris, I don't know, it was the Grand or something like that. And he was staying at the Isle of Capri because I think that's where he likes to stay all the time. But we were checking out the casinos. We walked into Harris, what's Harris today. And as we walked in, you know how there's a ramp right now with slots on it, but there's a ramp that goes up. They had the craps tables there, and I was just walking and just talking to Heavy, and he turned around. He's like, "We're gonna play on this table." And I'm like, I thought we were just checking things out. And he's like, "I'm buying you a steak dinner tonight." Heavy, you remember that story? And I'm like, "Okay." So we walked up to the table, and he took straight out. And as I walked up to the table, I turned around. I said, "Hey, this feels," and he leaned over and he said, "Shut the fuck up." And I'm like, "Okay." He didn't have How About Them Cowboys back then. And it was just he and I. Well, the craps table was sitting slightly on the ramp like this. They literally put it, on the ramp. So it wasn't even. And he took this spot and he started from shooting from straight out, really soft. The dice would hit the back wall and just die because it was angled like this. 45 minutes later, he's 7 out. We're coloring up big chips. He's like, "Let's go eat steak." And I'm like, "Dude." He's like, "You gotta watch what's going on." This was back when he was teaching me about watch what's going on in the casino. When you walk in, you're it's a business. You're trying to see how you can make a sale or how to make money. You gotta be mindful around you and stuff like that. Long story short, he's like, "We're gonna come play on this table." So we all had a steak and stuff like that. I came back to the room, couldn't sleep, went down to try and play on the table. Table was gone. They moved all the craps tables up the other area. So the next morning, I said, we got to find another place to play because they moved that table. He's like, you're kidding me. I said, no. So, so yeah, so that my story is he's now very subtle with how about them Cowboys. Before he would look you straight in the eye. He says, shut the fuck up at the table. So, yeah.
Well, I was younger. What can I say? At least I didn't say, "How about a hot steaming cup of shut the fuck up?" I mean, I've thrown that one out before, but usually not to a friend. Usually it's to somebody else at the table that's making an ass of himself, and I've had all I can take of it, and the box is not doing anything about it, and the guy's just being a dick. We had a situation at the table one time where a guy was just threatening to beat up his girlfriend that was standing next to him, and I gave him a hot steaming cup of shut the fuck up, and now he wants to start a fight with me, and that ain't happening, because my rule is, and I was younger then, but I'm a hit first, hit hard, hit the road guy, and you don't want to hit me because you ain't gonna get a chance, because I'm gonna throat punch you and you're out of it. But anyway, uh, uh, at that point, then the box decides to get involved, and they took the guy off the table and showed him to the door, because he was threatening violence against somebody else at the table. Then he turns around and threatens me, and I'm like, you're about to cross the line, buddy, and once you cross it, it's over with. So, uh, which, as I say, gets you to the other rule of playing craps, which kind of ties into what Gargoyle said. Uh, with his short game thing, one of my old sayings is hit first, hit hard, hit the road. You know, go in there, find a table that is producing the kind of numbers you want, or it's rolling the way you want to play, whether it's the dark side, the right side, however. Get on that table, get your money made, and get the hell out of the casino because time is not your friend in the casino. Playing a 12-hour session is going to do nothing but grind and grind and grind. You may think you're going to have a miraculous comeback when you're $2,000 in the hole and have a $3,000 win and wind up $1,000 on top. And that may happen once every 10 years, but it is rare, buddy. You are better off
Yep.
setting loss limits and win goals, playing the short game, getting in, getting up, getting gone. And if you hit that loss limit, live to play another day. Simple as that.
Yep. And I know it's a little bit too early for Gargoyle's trick of the trade, but ever since then, you can get it from the Dollar Tree. Every table in the casino is not equal. You can from a dollar store, you can get these. You walk up to the empty table, put it on there, and see if it's even. You don't know what the casino. Sometimes they do it on purpose. Sometimes they don't. But I walk up, I see an empty table, I put this on each side to see if it's even or not. I have one of these. I have one of these in my pocket, and I have a bunch of pennies in my pocket. And you know what the pennies are for?
There was
They're not to play the don't. By the way.
there was a guy from one of my classes got booted out of the IP in Biloxi for putting a level on the table. And if you stand straight out on that table and look down at it, it's obvious why anyone would want to put a level on it because it's anything but. I mean, one end goes this way and the other end of the table goes this way. It's just cattywampus. It's crazy.
There's the word, Ed.
There's that word, cattywampus. That's the official new word of craps lore. Cattywampus.
That's right.
We've been using that
And
a lot.
yet, on that cattywampus table at 2 o'clock in the morning, uh, our buddy Darth Nader threw those hard sixes, and I parlayed it up and collected over $1,000 off those hard sixes and the two hard fours he threw.
Yep.
That was followed by uh, 220 inside, tossing the full ATS, and there I was with 10 5 10 on that, and cleaned up on that, and you cleaned up on it. Everybody was on that. And then it came your turn to toss, Ed, and I looked at you and said, I don't feel the need to continue this game. Do you? And you're like, no. Let's take our money and run. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, we called it on that one. But that was one of our more memorable sessions we played over the last few years. And to think,
Yeah, that
when
was a great session. You missed the session with Mark.
Over Hard Rock. Just before that, I didn't want to go. I was exhausted. My feet hurt. My back hurt. I was exhausted, ready for bed. But poor Mark hadn't had a hand all weekend, and he just wanted to go play. So, okay, we'll give him one more shot. We went. He went over there and tossed the full ATS. So sometimes if a guy's had a cold weekend and nothing's worked for him, you go give him one last shot, and bingo, bango, bongo, it happens, and that's just a great feeling when that happens. So,
Yeah.
And
He needed a 12. He needed a 12 and a 2, and he changed his set, hit the 12, changed his set, hit the 2, back to back, boom, done.
Yeah, and that, boys and girls, is the power of Bone Tracker, because he had a set specifically designed through Bone Tracker for the 2 and a specific set for the 12. And if you're not using Bone Tracker, you're not going to figure that crap out easily. You can figure it out through years of practice and experimenting with different sets, or you can toss 720 tosses using your regular set and go into the transposition sets on Bone Tracker and sort out and find the one that works. And hey, next thing you know, you're in the money. You become an ATS sniper. And that's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. Heavy knows. I don't use Bone Tracker, not because I don't like it, but because I came up old school, and if I'm throwing and I need to change it for something, I learned before Bone Tracker. He showed me what set to use and how to see it and how to switch it, and that's in my head. So nothing against Bone Tracker. It's just that I learned old school. But anybody trying to learn the game now or coming up, it's a lot of help. But
yeah.
I don't use it. But I don't. He knows it. He knows this now. We don't agree on everything. There's nothing wrong with changing sets, but I don't change set because it's like I'm married to a set, and yeah, sometimes we have arguments, just like you have arguments with your wife, but we don't get a divorce, and I go get a girlfriend. I try to work it out.
I don't change sets in the middle of a hand, okay? But if I've just made a point, and I look down there and I need an 11 for the full ATS, and now it's come out, I know what set I need to use to throw an 11, and that's when I use it.
Yeah.
Because it can't hurt. If I throw a 7 in, I'm gonna knock everything off, but I can start over again. But
right.
That's better than a 7
on the come out.
Yeah,
on the come out, I may do it but not in the middle of the hand.
Yeah.
No. There are people that not only change sets, but they change tosses in the middle of the hand and don't tell their friends at the table.
Oh, yes, there are.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that.
Yes, there are. So,
but I do change sets a lot during
How about
the
them Cowboys? Gargoyle?
How about you? Shut the fuck up. Anyway, so I do change sets quite a bit during a hand, unless I'm just continually hammering a couple of numbers and I've got them pressed way up. Then I'll wait because I want to keep pounding numbers because you're only gonna get so many tosses anyway. But if you're sitting there with a $900 8, and you're ready to collect 1,050, you don't need to change. Don't change it. Just keep
Right.
tossing what you toss.
And I'm typically a 6 and 8 machine, but sometimes my 6 and 8 set plays tricks on me and starts throwing 4s and 10s, which I don't complain about, But if my point's a 6 or an 8, and that's working out that way, I'm throwing nothing but 4s and 10s, and I switch to my 4-10 set and I'll throw 6s and 8s. I mean, it's just stupid as hell, but it works out that way. And
Yeah.
if you want to make your point, that's fine. Personally, I'd rather throw 4s and 10s and screw that 6. uh, I'll,
Jeff, you
uh,
had any questions pop up back there you want to show us yet?
Well, there's
Yeah, I
been
see
plenty
you
of
popping up
there's
some
there's
stuff. Do we have a question?
yeah, there's plenty of questions. I was enjoying the stories. Well, first of all, let me tell everybody I've got a couple questions. I want you to put a capital Q and make sure there's a space behind it before you put something in there. We've probably got 10 or 12 questions in the queue here, and I'd have to scroll back to almost when we started because somebody said something in the beginning and somebody asked a question about it. But I'll get to this first question which just came in. I want to remind the audience that we're dual streaming on both channels. We're on Roll2WinCraps currently with the 90 people currently watching on that channel and 35 watching on Mid-Atlantic Craps channel. So Ed, there's a record for us on the show tonight. You guys, you could put a question on either side, and we'll put it up there. And we're glad. My job today is to moderate, and I'm going to put this question up here because I think that this is probably going to get a real quick answer. I'm just curious to know. This one just came in. Question: do heavy or gargoyle play a hybrid? I know the answer, but I'm going to let you guys talk about that.
What?
Yeah, I play a strategy called one hit can't miss all the time on unknown shooters. So if a guy is the first time I've seen him toss the dice and he is not a dice setter, I would throw out something like a $25 don't pass. Then the point gets established. Then I'll play $24 each on the 6 and 8. I'm looking for one hit on that 6 or 8. That'll pay me $28. At that point, I cannot lose on that shooter. I've got a $3 guaranteed win. You with me on that? The next hit on that 6 or 8, either one, I press it to $42 and lock up $10. Now I've got a $13 guaranteed win, and if that number rolls again, I collect 50 for one. Now, it doesn't happen very often you get more than 2 hits. This is a grind strategy that's designed to keep you in the game, just keep you involved in it without winning too much, without losing too much. You never have more than $25 at risk on any one player. But occasionally, magic will just freaking happen. One morning at Caesar's Palace, I'm playing this exact strategy. I'm walking out the door, and the table crossways at the end of the pit as you're walking out the door was a $15 game at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, holy shit, I haven't seen a $15 game at Caesar's forever. So I wheeled right in, one other player at the table. I plopped down $25 on the don't pass. I put out a $24 6 and 8. They offered me the dice. No, let that guy shoot. I just bought in. He proceeds to throw. He set the 6 as a point, and then he throws, I think it's 13 8s before he sevens out. I take my 8 up to $1,800, get a hit on it at 21, and at that point I've got $10 on the hard 8 because he threw the 8 before that hard, so I threw out a $10 hard 8. He threw that last 8 hard, so I got paid $2,100 on that plus an extra 90 for the hard 8. I wound up coloring up $4,400 on that hand off of a stupid grind strategy that's designed just to keep you in the game because of a fluke where some guy throws 13 8s and no 6s and sevens out, and then I collect my $25 note pass bet. So yeah, I play the hybrid, and that positions me so that if a player catches a hand, I can press like that on the 6 or the 8, and Then suddenly, if the 5 or 9 come into play and I press the 6 or 8, I can take a hit off of one of those numbers and place those numbers and expand and go up and out. So it gives you options, but you never take that damn don't pass bet down. Because if you've got a $25 don't pass bet up there and the point's 10, and you get to worried because it's been out for a long time, buy the damn 10 for $25 or buy it for $20. And if the 10 rolls, you get paid 40 and you lose 25. What's wrong with that? And if the 7 rolls, you make $4 off the buy bet, or you win the don't bet and you lose the $21 buy bet, but you made $4. So you don't lose. So you never take down a bet on the dark side. You always place the point to guarantee yourself a win. I see people take down these don't bets all the time, and it drives me freaking nuts. I'm like, hey, if you don't want that bet, I'll take it. Here's $25. It's my bet now. Okay, now what are you going to do? I'm going to lay that mother, or not lay it, place it. Watch me, you know. And they sit there and they look and they do the math and they're like, damn, and they'll never ever let one go again. So, I mean, that's my answer. Yes,
Yeah.
I do play both sides,
All
but
right.
No,
only on only on.
I'm 100% top fuel, 640 horsepower. I
Yeah,
don't do that. I don't do that shit. Look,
mine
look.
is not a don't bet.
Strategies as a whole. This is another thing that we don't agree, but that's okay. This is not a fact. This is just my opinion. Strategies, you're chasing the holy grail. Just like if you have that 12, 15, 100 different tosses, you're chasing the holy grail. There's no such thing as a perfect strategy or a good strategy. There's common sense, and an old buddy of mine told me a long time ago, bet $12 6 and 8 on anyone.
Hmm.
Isn't that right, Andrew?
Yeah, I just did that. But you can put a $12 don't pass out there with it.
Dude, no, there's no such thing. My new layout. I took a Sharpie on the don't pass. There's no mine is a crap list now. I colored up 2 boxes on this side, 2 boxes on
There
that
you go.
side, and took a Sharpie to the don't. There is no don't on my table now.
Hey, you got to quit wearing that hat if you're not going to play the don'ts.
Yeah. Here's a follow up to that question for you, Heavy. Comes from, I believe it comes from Arnell. Let's see. A question on the one hit can't miss. What do you do when 7 picks your don't off multiple times?
Multiple times. Yeah, that's Darth Nader and I would have different answers on that. I don't keep coming up on it. He does, but he would come out. Nate will martingale it a little bit. I'm not a martingaler. I mean, I'm a hit me once, shame on you. Hit me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to come back a third time on it. So
All right.
I'll just wait and see what happens on the hand.
Well, while I have you highlighted, there's a question that came in, well, almost 35 minutes ago, and it's from Dusted One. He says, Heavy, speaking of towering checks, that's something you told earlier in the show. What is the most money you've ever left on the felt?
Uh, Probably $5,000, $6,000.
Interesting.
But, but I mean, you think about having $3,500 on the 4, $1,500 on the 10. You know, when I have $1,000 on the 4 or the 10, I have already locked up 850. So that's a
Yep.
free bet. I am not out a dime if I lose that $1,000. So that's kind of the mentality you have to take. When I push that bet up to 2,000, I take another 1,000 off the table. I got a $2,000 bet. I've got 1,850 off the table. So the thought of losing $2,000 sounds terrible, but you didn't really lose $2,000. You made 1,800 off that initial. Are you ready? $15 investment. because you went 15, 25, 50, 100, 250, 500, 1,000, 2,000, whatever. So uh, when the table's not producing those numbers, you make a shit ton of money. The picture on the promo for this program shows me on, I think it was on a Lure of the Seas on the Royal Caribbean cruise. I'm standing there with a double handful of black chips because they didn't have any purple chips on the table. It's about $7,000 worth of black chips. Where my daughter, the flea, tossed a number hand. Uh, and a $500 table max. So, I get the table max on the 10, and I'm not betting anything else. I mean, I've got chump change on the rest of the numbers. All I've got is a $500 10 out there. And she's a little cheerleader. First and 10, do it again. And I'm just, hell yeah, you know. And so every time she throws another 10, I'm racking another $1,000. Am I sweating losing $500? Hell no. And it's the same way if you lose 5,000. You locked up. But with that said, almost every time that I've had a large sum of cash on the table with like $5,000, table max on the 10, $2,500 on the 4, $1,800 each on the 6 and 8, maybe uh, $900, $800, whatever, 5. I don't care. Anyway, you got a bunch of money out there. What's going to happen? There's going to be some shitbird down at the end of the table that's suddenly going to wake up and say, "Where'd my hard 6 go? I had a hard 6." And then everything stops as he argues about a hard 6 that fell 6 rolls ago when the easy 6 rolled. And he just has a meltdown over it. And everybody at the table just goes flat. All the energy leaves the table. Before, everyone was on their toes, leaning forward, excited. The game was rocking. Now everybody's on their heels. They're just down, exhausted. They're just wiped out, including the shooter. And you know what's going to happen next. Everybody knows after an argument like that, the damn 7's coming up next. And you know what I do in these situations, because I've talked about it before. The box man's just going to sit there and let the dealer choke on this argument. And me, I pick up $10 out of my rack and I throw it at the son of a bitch and I say, "Here, I'll pay your damn hard 6 and set you back up if you'll shut the F up." I didn't say it that time. And move the damn dice. At which point the box man will wake up and say, "Hey, I'm running this game." And I'll say, "Get off your dead ass and do it then, and stop letting your dealer choke." And then, suddenly I'm the bad guy at the table. But guess what? We get the game going and my bets are off. And when the 7 rolls, I get my $5, $6, $7,000 handed back to me. And now, suddenly, my $5,000 win has turned into a $12,000 win. And isn't that sweet when that happens? So you've got to be alert when you're playing this game to what do I call those things? You remember? God, turning 70 is a bitch. Negative indicators, but that's not the word I want to call them. I call them energy draining events. EDE.
Energy draining events.
Energy draining events. Anything that puts people back on their flat of their feet. And we're talking about what? The dice going off the table, the chip fill when they come and drop that big load of chips on the table, the cocktail server coming up and tapping that shooter on the shoulder and asking if he wants a drink, maybe doing the old back scratch thing on him. Oh, they love to do that. Scratch his back and say, "You want a drink, honey?" Oh my God. And you know the drill. I mean, you've seen it 1,000 times. The casinos do it over and over and over, and it's no accident when that crap happens during a hot hand.
Yep.
I mean, 80% of it's intentional. And when they send a cooler in, and don't tell me they don't send coolers in because I've had too many of them. When you've got 2 guys standing down here in the hook blocking for you, and they are elbow to elbow to keep anybody from getting in there, and you get a little skinny guy pushes in there with his shoulder and slams a stack of 100 red chips, whatever, 220 red chips on the pass line, and 20 more behind it, making a put bet. What dumbass does that? Right in your landing zone. That's not some idiot that's just walking up wanting to play the game. That's a goddamn house player running up there and pushing in and putting his money out there to screw up your rhythm. And he backs
Yep.
up behind the the guys that you've got blocking down there because he knows what's coming next. I'm going to bounce the dice off his forehead. But he's got some blockers blocking for him now. It's bad. It's bad. But anyway, it is what it is.
I've
Uh,
seen him do it. I've seen him do it. I've seen him throw
yeah,
the dice at people, and I know it's coming.
I
Oh,
don't.
by
I
the
throw
way,
the dice off the table. I
usually,
throw the dice off the
you,
table. That's not my fault if people are in
yeah,
the way.
usually he's on straight out, and I am either stick left or stick right one. But I see it coming. I just sometimes I even tell the stick man, hey, just he's like, what? He's like, watch, plane's about to take off. And then you see two dice go, and I look, and I just start feeling sorry for that person because it's coming. I just know the dice is gonna, and what's one of my favorite lines on the table from Heavy? Hey, how about we get a craps game going?
Well, I
Yep.
have a I
How
have a
about we get a
follow up.
craps game going?
I have a follow up question because you mentioned puts bet heavy, so I'm gonna put this question up here. Let me put you back up
Yeah.
on the screen,
Sure.
and this comes from a good friend of I think everybody probably knows him. I know it's a good friend of Ed's. It comes from Sarge Vi guy. I got an opportunity to play with him in June. So it says, question for the panel.
Sure.
I saw a fella who goes by Road Rambler use put bets during a high roller session. What's the difference between that and a come bet?
Well, the difference between a put bet and a come bet, I mean, they pay exactly the same. They play exactly the same, except you do not have to go through the come to get that bet up. You just, like, if you want to put, for example, $100 chip down there with 500 odds on a 3, 4, 5 times odds game on a 6 or an 8, you just put $600 down there and tell them you want to put the six for 100 with 500 odds. And casinos that accept put bets will just stick it back up there. Now, at that point, it becomes a contract bet. You can take the odds down, but the flat bet becomes a contract bet. So it's just like a come bet, but you didn't go through the come to make it. Uh, I use that when they will let me in uh, casinos that have low limit tables. Like a lot of the Indian casinos will have 300, 500 table max bet, even 1,000. And you get a table max, and they're like, "Sorry, you're at table max," and so you plop down, if it's 3, 4, 5 times game, correct bet, and throw it out there. Now, where you run into trouble, you do run into it in a lot of the Native American casinos just won't take put bets. Uh, Also, casinos with more than 3, 4, 5 times odds. If you have a casino with 5, 10, 20, or like we have down over here or we had until recently over in Shreveport, Bossier City, where most of the casinos used to pay 100 times odds, uh, boy, they didn't want to do put bets at all. But uh, interestingly enough, for a while there, they were taking them uh, at the Horseshoe in Bossier, and I found that kind of interesting because I saw them turn them down on several occasions. But I think maybe that was box person specific. I don't know, but I tried at the Gold Coast. I was a table max there on the 10 one morning, up to $1,000, and I wanted to go to 2,500 on it, and they told me no bet. I asked why. Violating one of my own rules. One of my own rules is the first thing you do is when you walk up to the table is check that placard to make sure you know what the table max is and what the odds are and everything. And I didn't do it that morning. Table Max was $1,000, and I was at Table Max, and uh, so the guy says no bet. I asked why. He said you're at Table Max. I took my payoff, which was $2,000, and I dropped another $100 chip down there, and I said put it for 100 with 2,000 odds because they have 20 times odds gained. And the dealer or the box man's words to me were classic. He said, "Steve, you've got all you're getting on the fucking 10. There's 7."
Nah, we're over 10 now.
Oh, well, anyway, were his words, not
I
mine.
broke the lid out of my pencil. I was writing them down, and I lost.
They were his words, not mine, on that occasion. And that, I always find that humorous when they speak my language. But and I just said, well, now we know what the damn table limit is, and the shooter went on that occasion to throw, I don't know, 5 or 6 more 10s that morning. I mean, it was a glorious win. That's just one of those occasions where.
So Jeff, I want to do a quick commercial.
All right.
You want to do a quick commercial?
Jeff?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I will too. You go ahead. I'll do mine.
Everybody needs to hit the like button if they would, please. We got a lot of people watching. And on your channel, my channel, it does help our channel with the YouTube algorithms a little bit. If you will hit that like button, don't, thumbs up. Just give us a thumbs up because it does help. We got a lot of people watching it. We'll keep this stuff up. If you like free content from me and Jeff, hit that thumbs up.
Don't be like those guys are my haters out there at the internet that have their thumbs up their asses. Be like these guys here and give them a thumbs up because you like them. That's the way that works.
Ed, you so far you peaked at 104 viewers, and I've peaked at 43. So that's some good numbers. Got some good stories here. Did I hear Heavy say he had want to put a commercial in? Because I got one more question that's directed to him.
Let me just mention for those of you that don't know, I run the Axis Power Craps Forum, which has been online since 2009 in its current edition. Before that, we came online originally in 2003. It's at www.axispowercraps.com/craps forum. Or you can just go to axispowercraps.com and click on the link for Craps Forum on that website, and it'll take you there. And while you're on the axispowercraps.com site, you can also subscribe to my monthly newsletter, which has 4 to 5 articles every month on craps and gambling in general, and also keeps you updated on my upcoming events that I have going on around the world. Also, I run 2 closed Facebook groups. One is Heavy's Axis Power Craps group, and the other is Heavy's Wrong Way Craps group, for those of you that like to play the dark side. And those are available for you guys to join. Don't cost you a dime. If you're on Facebook, just go to the group and click on there that you'd like to join. There are 3 or 4 craps-related questions you should answer that'll get you fast-paced into the site. Either me or one of my moderators will have to approve your joining the forum, but come on in and be our friend. If you want to download a copy of Bone Tracker, there is a free version that's the classic version available on axispowercraps.com or on the Craps Forum on the free pages when you first log onto the site. If you go into the section that says attend Heavy's seminars, buy Heavy stuff, and go into that section and scroll down to the bottom of it, there's a link that says download the classic Bone Tracker version here, and that's the one from way back around 2007 or so. If you want the new version 5.8, that has all the latest bells and whistles, you got to join the Craps Forum. And there is a $12 registration fee on that forum. That is not to bet a $12 6 and 8 for me, because that would only get me a $12 6 or a $12 8. It won't even get me a drink at Caesars anymore. I fund that thing out of my pocket. I pay for all the hosting on the website. I pay my contractor to do all the web work on it and all that stuff. And, I say it cost me averaging around $100 a month. Actually, it's much more than that. But anyway, membership fees help offset that. and keep that thing up. We have over 71,000 posts archived on that site right now. You can also access the last 12 issues of my newsletter on there in the archives. So lots of good dope there, and you can probably learn more from that website than you'll learn on the internet. So there you go. And boy, that desperately needs to be updated because that's advertising Craps Cruise 10 and the Biloxi Craps class we did in October. So there you go. I got to update that site. We have Craps Cruise 11 coming up. When? March 17th.
Yeah.
Cruise
You're not gonna get me on any of those floating disasters.
Oh man, we have so much fun on those things. You're just scared of the water. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
They get out there and
That's
throw you
okay.
overboard. But you have one.
Yeah, you
Uh,
would. You
I
would.
I
That's
do
why I'm
teach
not getting on
classes
the.
here at my home in East Texas. For those of you that are interested, I'm now booking through mid-February. I've got a couple of little classes planned for the last 2 Saturdays in January. Both will be limited to 4 students. I call them Jumpstart January classes. If anybody's interested in those, I cover exactly the same content I cover in the full weekend classes. But because I only have 4 students and I'm doing it here at the house, it's substantially cheaper than going to Vegas or Biloxi to do one of my classes. So that's a possibility out there if you're interested. The next full blown class we're doing is in Biloxi, and that'll be the weekend of February the 23rd, I believe. So those of you interested in Biloxi, we do have ads for that up on the Craps forum and in the Facebook group. And we're taking.
We had a good time. We had a good class down there. I helped you out last time.
Yeah. Ed came down and helped me out for that last one. Nate, my regular assistant coach, main helper, is off living in Virginia temporarily in the Washington D.C. area, working on a government contract over there for the next year or so. And he has a new baby, so the young was kind enough to come help me out on this last one. We had a great time. So yeah, there's a Craps forum. Click on that attend a seminar section there, second one in. Click on that and scroll down, and you'll see you see all the classes and everything advertising there. But down at the bottom, keep going down.
Down as far as it'll go.
Yeah, right up there, the first one in that section. Download Mad Dog's original bone tracker. That's where you get the basic bone tracker. It costs you nothing to download that. There's a couple of links there to download different versions of it. So that gives you an idea of what the forum looks like, but all the good stuff, anything related to dice control, is all hidden in the members only section, and all the advanced bone tracker stuff is in the members only section. So support your local dice dude. What can I tell you?
All right. Well,
All right. Let me.
Go ahead.
Let's find out if we got any more questions, or let's let Marco tell another story real quick.
Well, I was going to, while Heavy had the highlight there, I was going to put this up here. Sarge had a follow-up question, said, I think somewhere along the line you said you've got to be willing to take a chance. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I also said all it takes is bankrolling balls. But that kind of falls into the same category. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody takes a chance, right? I mean, I had a heart attack in September, right? I've been taking chances for 74 years, right? I mean, I'm a red meat guy. I'm a chicken fried steak guy. I'm a fried chicken guy. I'm a mashed potatoes and gravy guy. I mean, I don't eat any of the right foods, and I probably am not going to change, you know? So, and look at how well I exercise. My exercise is walking from casino to casino. Uh, I mean, I'm not an aerobic guy. And if you drive by my house any day of the week, you're apt to see me sitting out on the front porch with my cell phone or my tablet in hand, uh, doing stuff on Facebook or on one of my forums or whatever, smoking a cigar. So Am I a heart healthy kind of guy? Not in particular. Am I likely to change? Not in particular. Yeah, maybe some stuff, but I'm not likely to change. Uh, so, am I a gambler? Yeah, I guess I am. I take a chance every day when I continue to do that stuff. And you got to be willing to take a chance when you walk up to a craps table. Now, there's a difference in playing stupid and playing smart, okay? And you can play smart and still take a chance, and you can be a dumbass. So, again, get your money off the table first so you've got a profit locked up. So I don't have a problem with the guy, one of my best players, okay? He starts out with $600 6 and 8. Now I teach a 6 and 8 progression that starts with an $18 6 and 8. First hit, drop $3, press them each to 30. Next hit, press them each to 48. You drop a dollar, go to 48. Next hit, drop $4, press them each to what? 78. Next hit, take $91 and down, you lock a $203 profit in. Just like that, 4 hits on a 6 and 8. Simple strategy. Well, I've got a guy, it's one of my students, that has taken that, and he starts with a $600 6 and 8. And he pushes it for 5 hits. The same kind of progression, though. And he's got the bankroll to play it, but he plays it for 5 hits and down. Not down, he takes it back down to a $300 6 and 8 and then runs it again from there. But he's not afraid to take a risk because he's proven with his tracking and his practice that he can hit it like 80% of the time. And if he misses it 20% of the time, he's still ahead of the game. So he's not sweating it. So you
You
gotta
gotta
have
trust yourself.
you gotta have
You gotta
confidence
you
in
gotta trust
yourself.
yourself. Yeah, you gotta have the
You gotta
confidence.
you gotta trust
You gotta
yourself.
know what you can do on the table, right? I mean,
And
especially
you
if you're the
don't and
shooter.
you don't necessarily,
You know.
I see guys all the time in our groups, okay, that are good shooters. They go to the classes and they're good shooters and they have great hands. And they go to the table in the casino and they're scared to death to bet on themselves. And yet,
Yep.
if Ed's there and I'm there, some of the other guys in the class that have a reputation, maybe like Banker Dude or Mark 220 Inside, you know, they'll just bet the crap out of those guys' hands. Well, you know, we put our pants on just like everybody else. I go point set. My first hand in Biloxi this last trip, I had a 27 number hand. My next two hands, I went point seven out. Ed will testify to that. He was there on the table with yeah, point seven out, point seven out. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, I mean, time to go do something else. Uh,
Yep.
and that's just the way it goes. We are subject to the same volatility everybody else is. It's just that our starting point in this whole thing is a little bit higher than everybody else's. So, where everybody else, the random rollers, on average, 7 out, they after 8.5 rolls, we on average 7 out after 10.5 rolls. So, if you're average 7 out on 10.5 rolls, then you're on average going to have some 15 roll hands, or even more. You're going to have some 20 roll hands, and you're going to have some 2 roll hands. And occasionally you're going to have the unicorn hand that just stretches on forever and ever and ever. But not that often. Those are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and ever since you know me, I flew under the radar for a long time until this guy with the other cowboy hat brought me up here. And now it's like I'm getting so much flack. It's unreal because when I talk about if you're gonna spend hours and hours and hours practicing, and you're not gonna go and put your money where your mouth is, then why the fuck are you doing this? Just go take a hobby, go play pinochle or something like that, you know. And I catch flack, you know. I see I hear them and I see the videos out there, you know. Oh, you know, that's just a money. That's just a there's money down the drain and all that crap. Look, and this is just my opinion. Again, I'm very highly opinionated. If you're going to practice so that you can go and play a certain game in the casino, then practice and go play that game. If you're just going to practice just for fun, there are other things you can practice that are more fun. Practicing at home is boring. I was talking to John the other day, and it was around 1 o'clock in the morning my time because he's 3 hours. He's in Seattle, but I was helping him with his thoughts, and I was telling him what to do and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, "You're going to realize that if you're going to do this, practice can be very, very boring. But we do it because we need to know what we're doing because we're putting real money when we go to play at the casino. If you're not going to do it, there are other things you can go practice that are a lot more fun. But at any rate, story time. Let's tell a story and then we can come back to questions.
Just
I
one
got a
more
good.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes you just got to pull the damn trigger, you know. And I will tell you that I'm not a guy that writes numbers down at the table like some guys do. I don't track every roll on a little chart, but I can guarantee you the old heavy uh, calculator is working all the time. Anytime there are more than two fours or two tens or one four or one ten and less than five rolls on this table, my fat ass is on the 4 and 10. Anytime you see a 5 or a 9 roll twice within about 5 or 6 rolls, I'm on them because you should only see them once every 9 rolls. And I'm always on the 6 and 8 because that's the best damn bet on the table. So now all I've got to do is get up there on the 6 and 8 and start collecting on those, make a little money, and if these fours and tens start sequencing like they should, I'm going to be on them. I don't care who's shooting the damn dice. And once I get my
Yeah,
4 or 10 paid for, it I have my eye on table max. Now the four hits, I've got $15 on it. Bam! First hit pays me what? $27. Buy it for a quarter, give me 17 change, and I got a $2 profit. Hell yeah. Next hit go to 50. Next hit go to 100. Next hit go to 250. Next hit go to, why do I go to 250? Most people go to 200. I go to 250, and this is one of those cases where I'm not scared to draw to pull the trigger because I've already connected. My bet's paid for. I had $100 free bet. I'm still going to get another $50 off of this when I power press it. I'm going to 250 because I want that $500 chip when the damn thing rolls the next time. I'm looking forward down the line. So go to 250, collect that 500 and press it to 500, get that 250. Now you've collected 375 off this table and you've got a $500 free bet. What the hell? Keep going. Next hit pays you 1,000, go to 1,000, lock up 500. Now you've got 875 off the table and $1,000 free bet. Why the hell not press it? You know? So not being afraid to pull the trigger, not in my vocabulary.
yeah, yeah,
On
yeah.
a situation
So
like
let's
Mine
that.
let's
either, if everybody knows me.
let
But
yeah
Ed,
I learned it from
Ed,
him.
Ed on the damn 5 and 9 in Mississippi. I mean, he outpaces me because he goes straight to 200 before he takes a hit, and I do two presses and take a hit, but he does three before he takes a hit. So uh, I mean, he ain't scared. So there you go.
let's
I like
let's
that. I like
hey,
that
let's
290
tell
for 10. That 300
Yeah,
for 10 pays really nice.
yeah. Well,
let's
I'd like
let's
to
tell a
take
few
that.
stories before we take some other questions. Let's tell a few
Okay.
stories. So do you remember who you partnered me up with the first time we ever met for a class in Vegas?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe Dead Cat or somebody like that.
No, no, he was young. He drove me around. He, he used to hang out with Shooter Doll a lot.
Oh, a young guy that hung out with Shoot It All a lot. Dang.
Ross. You remember Ross? Dusenberry?
Ross, yeah, Dusenberry. Oh, I should mention his name. Yeah, Ross is still hanging around. I see his
Yep. So
poster.
I'm gonna tell the story. So I'm gonna tell
Ross,
that story because it is funny
well,
as
you
hell.
tell the
So
story because I don't remember anything about it except Ross is about 85 pounds soaking wet and about 5'6" and can outdrink me.
yeah. So I'm gonna call him Augie because there's a reason why I call him Augie. If you're old enough to remember Augie dog and Augie daddy,
Augie
the
doggy,
cartoons.
Augie daddy. Yeah.
Um, yep. So and if you've seen the interviews I had with Ed, I told you Heavy warned me about going out and playing and that he's going to have people watching. Well, I didn't have a car. So when we first met up at 777 to eat and stuff like that, he came up and he's like, "Look, I'm going to have a driver to drive you around. He's been here a few times." So here comes Augie. Now, he's about 20, he's in the early 20s, but he's short, very young. He looks 14. He honestly, he looks 14. And I look at him and I'm like, this is a joke, right? This is like, yeah, let's get the new guy in and pour Gatorade on him and stuff. He's like, no, he's old enough. And he goes, yeah, I'm old enough, and he shows me his ID. He's like, I'm gonna pick you up and drive you around. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you viewers out there, I've never met any of these people. This is my first time meeting Heavy and everybody else. So I was still kind of like, I don't know about these guys. But he puts me in with this kid. Literally, looks 14 years, but he was drinking a beer. So apparently he's old enough to drive and old enough to be in a casino. So, he picks me up. We go to the class, and then he's like, yeah, let's go and we'll play around. We would walk 5 steps, and he would get carded. And we would take another 5 steps, and somebody would come and say, "Sir, I need to see your ID." Finally, I turn around, I'm like, "Dude, wear it around your neck or something." And then we would go to the table, and they would, "Sir, your son, can't play." And I'm like, "He's not well, forget about that. He can play. He's old enough." After like the first day, because we were there for several days, it got to a point where, "No, he's not my son. He's my nephew. No, he's just my brother." And then he would say, and then so that's why Augie. So every time I would see him, and like, "Augie, my son, let's go play, And then I made him get one of those badges. It was pink, and it says Las Vegas on it and stuff like that. But it had to clear, and he put his driver's license on it. And every time he'd walk by a security guard, before they even ask him, he would just go like this. And I said, "You're going to do this because I'm not going to stop every 5-10 feet so that you can get carded. And I'm not going to stop in the middle of the roll because we're playing craps so that somebody can say, 'Sir, I need to see your ID.'" And a pit boss would go and a new one come back, and all of a sudden he'll start asking the dealers, "Hey, that guy can play, sir, show me your ID." They've already seen his fucking ID. It's right here. Look, you don't need to see his ID. These aren't the drawers you're looking for. Let me roll the fucking dice. It got to that point where, it's like, but he looked 14 years old. And he was my chauffeur and spy. Make sure I don't go out and play a lot of money for Heavy. Good old Augie. You know what? I have not talked to him in a while, but I am on his Facebook, and he's into the drone stuff right now. He's doing like some really cool stuff. But yeah, he spent a lot of time with good old Shoot It All. Shoot It All. We can tell stories about Shoot It all night long. But yeah, let's. Is there any questions out there? Any comments?
Oh, there's a mess of questions on both channels. Again, we're dual streaming on Roll2WinCraps and Mid-Atlantic Craps. We got an audience of well over 120 currently watching. Here's a question that came in, and I'm not taking them in any specific thing, but a couple people have questioned about Bone Tracker, Heavy. So here's a question that's coming up there now. This is for Heavy and Ed. Has your coaster chart grouping changed over times? What brought about the change in shooting mechanics, perhaps?
Ed, you go first.
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, go first.
I might lose my voice. I haven't talked all night. I've just been sitting here listening.
Have at it.
So, yeah, sorry. The question is, did my coaster chart columns change over time? Absolutely, right? If you've got an SRR of 6, and let me tell you, it takes a while to get to that. It took me. I was so disappointed that it took me forever to get to 6, right? And then we got into the coaster chart and we got a little better at it. But as your SRR changes and gets longer, and that's because you practice and your mechanics are repeatable. Even if some of the mechanics are bad, at least you're repeating it the same way, right? So you get into a position where all of a sudden you hit, boom, you're in a solid coaster chart. I got a question today from somebody on an email. I see you changing coaster charts during, your live sessions and stuff that you're doing on YouTube. Well, there's about the coaster chart that's my primary chart also has 2 or 3 that are pretty freaking close. And if you look at like 1,400 rolls, there's only a few 7s difference between them. And so I'll play around. So I've got like 3 coaster charts that I will memorize some sets from in case I need them live when it matters, when I've got real money on the table. So when you see me playing here, I may change coaster number or coaster chart columns, but at the same time, it does change. But mine's been pretty steady for about 3 years. Other than I've added some that are just almost identical.
And I'll join.
So yeah, Blazer says there, that's encouragement. I can remember when I first started tracking my rolls because I thought I was a good shooter. And I'm sitting there at just right under 6. I'm like, I cannot believe I cannot get, 6 or better. And it just took more practice. And eventually all of a sudden you hit 7. You go, okay, now I'm going to target 8. You hit 8, you target 9. I've never had a 10, but I'm good with 9, 9.5, somewhere in there at times, sometimes less. Depends on the chart, depends on the sets I'm practicing with. But you go into Bone Tracker once you understand the coaster charts. And I've learned to change the dice sets on the fly to match. I don't even have to memorize the sets per se anymore. If I know one set in each chart, I can pull 3 or 4 out just by how you rearrange the dice. Do I want to cross 6? Do I want a 3V variant? Do I want a 2V variant? That kind of thing. So they do change, but you've got to practice for it to change. And you might go backwards for a minute. I've had that happen.
Hey, Ed, I got a question for you. What does SRR stand for?
7s to roll ratio.
Nope. Stands for shit rolling reminder.
There you go. That'll work too.
Yeah. Well, I think Heavy wanted to chime in on this as well.
Yeah, go ahead,
and then
Heavy.
we'll move on.
No, I agree with Ed on that. I'm pretty dead solid in column 10 on that, but there are days when I'm all the way over in column 15. So depends not on the week, not on the month, not on the year with me. It's the day of the damn week. Just some days this column isn't working for me. I switch to that column. There you go. And I have certain mutant sets that I use that are not in column 10. They're in column 15. And same thing happens at the table when I'm playing live. If this set doesn't work and this set doesn't work and this set doesn't work, my God, column 10 isn't working for me today, and I'm switching over to one of my column 15 sets, and that typically works for me. So you have to be attuned to that kind of stuff and watch for it. But it does give you something to go back for. Now, when you mentioned, whoever mentioned having an SR of 5.4, and you get disappointed thinking, I'm not influencing the dice. Well, the hell you're not. You are influencing the dice. You are just not influencing them the correct direction. You're influencing them the wrong direction. But by God, you can shoot from the don'ts with a 5.4, right? I mean, people just don't think about that. And if you're
Yeah.
influencing the dice and have a 5.4, then there is a set that you can find in Bone Tracker that will give you a positive number. You just have to dig in there among the 256 alternate sets available to figure out which one it is, or which 24 it is, because they're out there. If you're tossing your dice consistently and you're gripping them consistently, you have a consistent toss, landing dice on the same spot on the table all the time, same trajectory, same same angle, vector, everything is the same. You have a toss that's producing repeating numbers, even if they're sevens. Then by God, there's a set in there that'll work for you. You just haven't found the right one yet. But for you guys that have SRRs of 3 and are not going to the casino and shooting from the don'ts, you need to relearn the game and learn to play 100% of the game. Half of the game of craps is the dark side.
I'm gonna say, you always say if you don't know how to play the don'ts, you're only playing half the game. I know Gargoyle don't want to hear that, but that's what
I
you
know you don't
always
want to hear it, but you're going to lose half the time unless you're only betting on yourself.
I'll be back when you all get
Oh,
sane again. I'll be back.
don't go nowhere,
I'll
Gargoyle,
check
because
I'll check my
while
email.
we're talking about the don'ts, Alfredo wants to know to everybody here: do you enjoy knocking off a don't player, stacking chips just like coolers as the shooter? Do you like knocking them off?
Well, who doesn't like knocking off the don't player? Even though I like to play the don'ts, I don't get obnoxious about it. My preferred don't play is to wait until the point's established and then to play the don't come. I want to be invisible to the rest of the guys at the table when I'm playing the don'ts. So I don't want the right side players to be pissed off at me because I'm playing the don'ts. Hey, I'm just one of the guys at the table. I'm playing a strategy. I'm not playing against them. I'm just playing my strategy. And I can live with playing the DC. I don't need to play the don't come or the don't pass where on a traditional crap game, everyone's always rooted for the 7 and 11 on the come out. Well, the 7 and the 11 are my enemy on the come out. So I don't want that. So I'm fine with playing the don't come and taking the second number this guy rolls, and that's going to be my dominant number. And then I might play a second don't come and have two numbers. That way, if I get knocked off of one of them, I can lay odds on the second one enough to recoup my losses on the first one. So, I mean, there's all kinds of strategies you can take, different approaches to play the dark side. But the main thing is to have that option available to you, and just not stand there and continue to throw money on the 6 and 8 in the pass line and odds when the last six players have gone point seven out. I mean, the table's trying to tell you something. If two or three players in a row have gone seven out, you probably should be playing the don'ts until somebody makes a pass, makes two passes, you know. Then maybe you switch back to playing the right side.
uh, you know, I'll say this: when I'm shooting the dice, I have never in my life put a don't pass down
When you're shooting,
because,
yeah.
I, yeah, if I'm shooting the dice, and that's part of the problem of YouTube today. How do I phrase this? There's so many people who talk about ways to play the game, and there's a gazillion ways to play this game, and they rehash the same fucking strategy. Oop, mark that one on the calendar. They rehash the same effing strategies over and over and over, but they give them a new name. What people don't understand is if you're a DI, if you're a practicing, trying to learn the game DI person, you don't bet 640 across on every swinging dick that's at the table, right? You're just kind of waiting for your chance to see if you can get a decent roll. You don't go out there and bet all these crazy ass strategies on every person because you're going to lose your bankroll before you get the dice if you do. And so practicing DIs have a different mindset. I call it a mindset. It's a thing where I'm just trying to just kill some time, maybe gain a few tier credits or whatever until I get the dice. I'm just, I'm not going to stand there and just like this, I'm not going to stand there and go, I sure wished I could get the dice. I'm going to make a few bets, but I'm going to make smart bets. I'm going to play the hybrid that you mentioned, the one hit can't miss, or I'm just going to bet the 6 and 8 if I want to keep all energy positive for people like Gargoyle at the table. I'm just going to small bets. I mean, look what Baker did. I've seen Baker do bet a $6. Bet a 6 back when right after COVID. We would be playing side by side because you always put me in the hook down there on the far side next to Baker dude.
That's supposed to be your favorite position back then.
It was my favorite because you told me that's where I had to learn to shoot from.
It should be now. It should be now. He's playing the wrong game. He's playing the wrong game. It should be now.
It wasn't my choice, but you asked me, do you want to shoot or do you want to win money? I said, I want to win money. He said, then you're going to the fucking hook. So I said, okay,
right.
I'm going to the hook. I better learn how to shoot from the hook. But Baker dude will sit there. I mean, he's like a magician with his bets. He'll sit there. Back then, he would sit there with a $30 6 and a $5 hard 6, and the next thing you know, my 10's at 1,000 and his 10's at 1,000, and I can't ever figure out how in the hell he got there from a damn $30 6, and I'm betting even numbers. I got $110 on even numbers, and he's sitting there with a one freaking 6, and all of a sudden he's at the same level I'm at. I'm like, but he's a magician with his bets and how he gets there. It's crazy to watch. I mean, it's insane. It's fun. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but
Well, here it is from my side, and I don't play the don'ts, but when I'm playing with my bankroll, I'm the only swinging dick at the table. Heavy knows this. I'm up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, empty tables. There's nobody on it. I live by my roll and I die by my roll, and I believe in my roll, and that's it. Now, I take my fun money and I play with folks, at nights and stuff like that. And if somebody's playing the don't, I don't care. I'm just there to have fun. If I knock that person off, I knock that person off. They knock me off, I don't care. I'm there to have fun. My bankroll is safe and secure in my safe. You got all these people that want to play in groups, and I'm not saying that there's not, I'm not knocking the classes or anything, heavy. I'm just saying that, there's all these people that want to go in and put their whole bankroll right there, waiting for the dice. There are 10 shooters, and they're trying to figure out what's the best strategy so I can come in and roll the dice. And they call themselves DIs because they take the dice and set it down at a certain set. My cat can do that. That doesn't make my cat a DI. But anyway, if you're gonna put your hard-earned money to make money at the craps table, you need to get into a certain rhythm, and you need to find time where you can play where the dice can get to you a lot faster. And Heavy, you and I have done that when we were in Vegas. After my play, we would meet up right before breakfast and go hit 1 or 2 tables where there's maybe one person on them, and then we'll go sit down and have tables. And most of the time, I mean, you're a witness to this. You either have a good roll and we walk, or I have a good roll and we walk. Either way, we walk with money. I
Yep.
don't have to pick up the dice if Heavy has a long roll because I'm there to make money. I'm not there to just feel the dice and shoot the dice. But
Yep.
you know, I mean, it's everybody up to their the way they want to play. It's their money. It's their way they want to play. But
So
if you're serious about this and you want to be hardcore, you got to figure out
we got
how to
off tangent.
best play. We got
This
what?
is why
We got
Ed does
off
those
tangent, and I
competitions
apologize because I got a
everybody else
rant.
still in bed.
The question was, do we enjoy knocking off a don't player? I think that was the question.
No,
Answer
Right?
is
I mean, we
yes.
got off
no,
on all the,
I don't enjoy it. No, I don't enjoy
you know,
knocking it off, and I've said it before.
I
I
was
don't
playing,
enjoy knocking off a don't player because that player lost money regardless on something that
well,
I did, and I believe
you know,
everybody at the
it's
table
his
should win.
fault. Well, I mean, it's his choice to make a bet. I mean, he bets either on the right side or the dark side. That's their choice. And so I was playing. Actually, I know Alfredo was watching earlier. I was playing with Alfredo a few weeks back, real quick over Thanksgiving, actually, because I was having to play Bachelor that weekend. Went down to Biloxi, and just happened to be that Alfredo came down, and he and I played quite a bit, too much, probably together. Anyway, but we were sitting there, and I was throwing the dice, and I was killing freaking fours and tens, and I wasn't paying. I was in my zone. I'm just, give me the dice, give me my bets. I know my press schedule. I'm pressing up, and I'm hitting six, eights, fours, and tens. A few fives and nines in there. I know what I'm doing. I got this thing going. I'm hitting a lot of fours and tens. These two foreign guys come in, and I thought they had thrown down money because there was all of a sudden there was $2,000 just thrown on the table. I chewed their ass out. I mean, I'm standing down there at stick left one, and I am just dog cussing those guys. I mean, I'm running them out of the casino, and they come up to me and they go, "We ain't never been in a casino before. We don't know what we're doing." They're like from Europe somewhere. Anyway, so then I look down there, and there's some guy playing the donks on me, and he's laying the 4 and 10, and he's laying it for like $500 each. He done lost that. I didn't even know he was doing it. And then I was like, holy shit, he's probably lost a lot. That's probably his money, and I just chewed these guys out, which was true. That was his money. He threw it down there to try to interrupt my rhythm, which is a smart play on his part, playing the don'ts. But when I colored up, there was no way he was even. There was no way, because I had knocked him off so many times. I didn't even know he was on it, because I was oblivious to the fact that somebody had a no 4 and a no 10. But I knocked his ass off so many times. And personally, that's the way I would rather it be, is me to stay oblivious to the fact that somebody's betting against the shooter when I'm shooting. I just soon not even enter my mind. That's that left-right part of the brain Heavy talks about sometimes, but I don't even want to know. So I wasn't happy that I knocked him off, but I was, holy shit, what a dumbass. I've hit like 7 between the 4 and the 10. I probably hit 7 of them, and he'd been knocked off a lot, because I was getting on up there. I was ready. I was ready to go to. I think I was ready to go to at least 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, even if some people are jerks, I just, they're there to make money, and they're using their own pattern, trend, you call it what you want, at the table to cause a 7, or that's why I like to play with people on the electronic table, because I don't know what they're betting, and so I will bet the way whatever I want, because I don't know what they're betting, and there are no chips in the way. So if somebody's playing that don't, I don't know, and I don't care at this point, because I'm just concentrating on my screen. But I just I would rather just people have fun at the table. That's why I call it fun. My fun money.
I don't enjoy knocking them off. I don't mind knocking them off if they're betting against me and I'm making my bets. But like that guy right there, I had no idea until all of a sudden he threw $2,000 out there in the middle of the table. I mean, literally in the middle of the table, because he had to rebuy it. Because I done felt it his ass 2 or 3 times apparently, according to Alfredo. I didn't even know he was doing it, and I would rather it be that way because if you're focused as a shooter, you're not really caring what everybody else's bets are.
That's exactly right. And you know what I say, right? The only thing you can control is yourself. You can't control anything else on the table. So just stay focused.
Take exception to all that is when the guy is deliberately stacking his chips in your way. I'm not talking about, he's laying $500 and he's putting a $500 chip out there. That's no big deal. When he's got $500 in red chips piled up out there, that's a problem. And the dealers won't do anything about it when it's his red chips he's stacking out there. They just leave them out there. Our last trip to Vegas, in one of the sessions, there was a guy straight out. Well, this guy was in the turn next to the dealer, and our shooter was shooting straight down the pass line and landing his dice just to the left of the pass line so they go straight into the back wall. This guy was reaching over and putting his don't bets on the and the don't pass line on this casino went all the way across in front of the pass line, and he would put his bets right there where he was landing, and he was stacking up the barber pole where there was no way he could continue to get his dice through there, and he was forced to throw into the hook or into the turn because this guy had the entire end of the table block with red chips piled up down there. And I told the shooter, I said, just throw the dice off the table and knock the fuck out of this guy, because he's doing this on purpose. And when you do, just say, oops, I'm sorry, I'm trying to miss your chips, and he didn't do it. He's not heavy. But, if you're going to be an asshole to me, guess what? I'm going to be an asshole right back to you because I'm that guy that you hit me, I hit you back. I'm not going to hit you first, but if you start playing this little game with me, then I'll play the game with you. And when it's your turn to shoot, guess what's going to happen? If you're going to shoot the dice and try to shoot from the right side, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to have my guys down the other end playing the don'ts on you, and they're all going to pile their chips up in your way. So if I have to move down there and do it myself, I'll do it. Hell, I don't care. Turnabout's fair play. Does that sound childish? Maybe so. I don't care. Let's just level the playing field. There's no point in a guy starting crap like that. So why start it?
All right, guys, you got to move on to
next question.
I was going to say next question. Yeah, I was just listening. There were so many chats coming in about that topic that I couldn't display them all.
The physics of what we're doing with dice control and the impact.
Well,
that'll take us into the next question. That'll take us into the next question.
I want to say something since you put that from Procraps. Hey PC, guys that come in coolers or idiots that come in and stack their chips on a don't. We call that a trend.
Oh my gosh! Wow! I'm not even going to touch this one. We're going to move on that one. This is a question. This is a question from almost 40 minutes ago. Comes from Chris from Sideshow Gamble. It's a good craps question here. It's about focus. How do you maintain your focus, composure when throwing the dice and things are not going the way you expect? What is your method to re-zero yourself? Who wants to take that
question.
one?
I'll just say, Sideshow, if you're on my Facebook group, I republished an article last night from, I think that article I wrote back in 2009. And it's called Putting on the Blinders, and it's specifically about that. It's about how to train yourself to slip in and out of the zone in between tosses and shagging the dice. And the guy sitting down there with the black hat on is a great example of a guy that can do it. And he probably doesn't even know it. But you think back about what Ed does on his channel. He tosses the dice. Now, tossing the dice is all a right brain deal. It's all controlled in the artistic side of the brain. It's artistic, not autistic. So this is a side of the brain that controls hand motion and artistic, soft, keeping the dice on axis, everything nice and pretty. The left side of the brain is the part that deals with calculating bets and up a unit and collecting payoffs and doing all the crap that we do in between tosses. So during a hand, we're continually shifting from right brain to left brain, and that's where you lose focus. So you have to practice doing that and incorporate it into your practice session, in my humble opinion, after doing this shit for 30 years now. Ed is a great example, and you see it on his program all the time. Ed tosses the dice and throws just another damn 9, right? And then what does he do? He calls a number. He picks up his stick. He rakes the dice back down. He throws a chip up there to mark that he threw a 9. He makes his bets. He pays his bets. He does all that stuff. Then he pulls back the dice and he goes back into his shooting zone again. He drops right back into it. So we do a little exercise in the classes. We call it the saber exercise. It's set, aim, breathe, relax, execute. Set the dice, aim where you're going to toss, breathe, relax, execute. Now I'll throw one more term in there, and that's visualize. In there, when you breathe, visualize the result you want. If you're standing next to me, you will hear me say every time, the point. That's the point. If the point's 9, I breathe, I get the dice, I set the dice, I aim down there. I'll say point is 9, 5, 4, 4, 5, see the 9, be the 9. I'm visualizing that 9 rolling when I throw the freaking dice. I breathe in, breathe out, relax, and throw the dice. But I'm constantly repeating the point when I throw the dice. Yeah, I get my bets in. But that's automatic. And that's the other key that I'll mention to you. Every betting progression I do is the same every freaking time. I don't have to think about it. All you guys that have to think, what do I do next? I got paid off on a $24 6. Well, it's easy for me. Make it look like 42, give me $10 off the bottom. Stack the rest of it up. You know, I mean, if I got a break-in dealer, I've got to tell them what to do because they don't have a clue. So, you know, I mean, $18 6 and 8 or $18 8, drop 3, go to 42. Boom. And they're like, hand it off to the box, let him count it, stack it up. You know, go to 42. Because 80% of the dealers in Vegas right now can't fucking deal. That's number 42. I think the over-under was 42 for this week. So,
yeah, we're way over. If you bet the over on the F word, you won.
So know what your damn progressions are. All right. So, you know, I'm 18 or 24, I go to 42, get $10 from 24. From 42, I go to 90. From 90, I go to 180. From 180, it's just like 18, drop 30, go to 420. Holy crap. You know, the box man says, wait, what? Show me that move again. Because they don't believe you went from 180 to $420, you know. But you drop that $30 on that $210 payoff, and they stack it up, and it's like, damn, that's a cool move. I never saw that before. And I say, what? Wait till I get to 1,800 and drop 300, you know. And if we get there, by God, I'll do it and not hesitate. So,
Yes,
but you gotta
do it.
your
You got to.
press move, and you gotta be able to
I was
do it.
playing one time in Biloxi, you know, on the same deal, and you know, and I'm doing my little doing your 6 and 8 progression. I was on the Crapsmas table, but I was hammering 6s and 8s, and you know, I've got my 180, and I just collected 210 and put it in the rack. I hit 180 again, and the dealer looked at me and he says, "Where you want to go? You know, like 210?" I went, no, here's $30. Take me to 420. The stick guy leaned over and said, I think he wanted to go a little bit higher than you thought. You know, because they don't think about us doing that kind of pressing and that move. I mean, that's a little power press in the middle. But yeah, when you go when you lay at 300 out there to go, 4,200, why not? I mean, shit, you're just one hit away from a $5,000 win, baby.
Yep.
I mean, one toss, $5,000.
I'll tell you what,
you're out.
when you're sitting at the table at a place like Flamingo and you got 6 suits standing around watching, and you drop that 300 and go to 4,200, they're all smiling and nodding. They're just like eating that shit up. They can't believe you did that.
Yeah.
See if it hits.
I mean, you got to have your move, and and it goes back to all of this. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but it is practice like you play like you practice. So if you will practice these progressions and memorize whatever your progression is, folks, whether it's mine and heavies, or whether it's the Parson press on the 5 and 9, or you want to do the mini press on the 5 and 9 that I've been working on here live lately. I mean, that's up to you, but memorize it, and you'll see there's 3 things you can say. Press it. If you totally forget where you are, you got 3 choices. Same bet, up a unit, take me down. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of those 3. If you've totally spaced it and gone spastic and can't remember where you're at. But I'll lean down, I'll look down over at the dealer, and I'll go, what have I got on that 5? And they go, yeah, you got 100, you got 200. I say, okay, I took the last hit, so take me to 500. Here's $10. That's a great press. You're sitting you're in Mississippi and you're on a 5 or 9 and you got 200 on it and you just collected 300 and you hit it again. You drop $10 and you're taking that $200 to $500. That's a good payday on the next run. I mean, that's a good payday right there, buddy, and it's all free.
I think you answered that question, Ed. Sarge wants to know after 200, where do you go?
500. After you collect 300 from 10, you can go where you want to, Sarge. But I mean, you can go all the way to 500. All you got to do is drop $10.
Right.
Oops, Gargoyle, you had something you wanted to say?
No, I was going to say you need to be you need to be doing the same bettings, because it's not just you getting into a rhythm. If you get the dealers into a rhythm of payouts on the table, then the game flows better. But if all of a sudden you got this one idiot that wants to do all these, take this and do this, and they're action junkie, and I want you to hop the 6, only, not the hard way, but only the 4-2, and do this, and the whole game stops because you got that one idiot that just wants to do they got $500 on the table hedging and doing so to lose $5 or win $5, and you want to scream at him and say, if that's what you want to play, put $5 on the field or put $5 on the fast line. That $500 on the table and hedging, and they do it for every single roll. We had one. Remember that guy at Fitzgerald in Tunica Heavy that one time? Yes, I did. Every single roll, they had to spend 12 minutes almost on that one guy, putting a few dollars on this hop, a few dollars on this hop, a few dollars on this hop, and I had the dice, and we had students at the table. And I would sit there and wait. And then Heavy would look at me and shake his head, go like this. And then I throw a 7 on the come out. All right, reset. 12 more minutes. Do this, and it's like leave the guy's bets on the table. Let him give you the money. No, you got to take all that stuff out and start from scratch. So, anyways, next question.
Yeah, that guy was playing a system that was designed to you never lose or win more than $5, but you get rated as a $500 bettor, and you get all these comps. So he was playing for comps.
Yeah.
And I knew the guy. I ran into him here 20, 22, 23 years later. I ran into him in the casino recently. And I'm like, dude, are you still playing that crazy strategy trying to get all those comps? What strategy? And I mentioned the guy that was selling the strategy, the name of the guy that sold it to him, you know. I never bought a system in my life. And I'm like, yeah, no, you were playing this one night in Tunica. Group of us, no, that wasn't me. You're thinking of somebody else. And I'm thinking, bullshit.
Yes.
Anyway, it is
All
what it
right.
is.
You ready
Next
for
question.
a? Are you ready for another question? All right, let me get that queued up here. We're going to go back for probably a good 40 minutes or so. It's going to come from Arnell. It's about dice setting or dice grips, I should say. What do you all think about different tosses other than the par?
Oh,
Well,
oh, oh, oh,
I started out
oh,
my
oh,
last
oh.
class, and will testify to this, talking about different toss types. Uh, I started out as a stacker back in the day. I stacked the dice and I threw them into the turn as opposed to straight down the table. And I was recognized over in my part of the world as one of the best shooters in the casinos. But I switched to a side by side toss because I saw some advantages to it that I didn't have with a stacked toss. Specifically, less of the dice colliding with each other. I got them out of the mixing bowl into the flat part of the wall, had a better chance of keeping the dice on axis, more predictable results. Uh, so it's logical to me that the thing that you're trying to attempt to do is keep them on the dice, keep the dice on axis. Now the dice have, you've got 16 possible combinations if you keep the dice on axis rolling together. Anytime they roll off axis, then you're looking at 36 possible combinations. So people who teach tosses where you, and I'm looking, all my dice are out of reach right now, where you set the dice on the sevens and you hold them at an angle like, I'm out of the camera, like this, and you throw them in such a fashion where, a little more of an angle, where they hit on their corner and then they bounce off axis, supposedly onto a more friendly axis. Uh, I know guys who are very effective at that toss. Let me rephrase that. I know one guy who's very effective at that toss. He's a retired gentleman who has nothing better to do than stand at his table all day and practice tossing dice. And he does it. And he's one of the best shooters around. And he's pretty effective with it. And I've played with him many times. But whenever I look up in the middle of a hand and I see he switched to that set and that grip and that toss, I turn my bets off and take them down because I have found it to be counterproductive to bet on that toss at the tables. I've never won any money off anybody tossing the dice like that where they're trying to use an off axis toss. The same goes for the toss I will call the dice tragic toss. Uh, the I won't address the non-axis tosses like the helicopter, the whirly bird, the whip shot, all those because those are illegal shots you shouldn't be using anyway. Uh, but any shot where the dice tumble forward, the par type or the axis type shot, as I call it, is the only shot that's been proven mathematically and scientifically to work. And we've done that with Bone Tracker since about 2004 and have numbers stretching back all the way to there to back it up through thousands of players over the years, that have had SRRs well up above 7 and have posted consistent winning records at the casino. Now, does everybody win all the time? No. Now, how can a guy with a 7 rolls ratio of 9 go to the casino and lose? Because bankroll volatility still affects all of us, and if you don't know how to bet, you're still going to lose. Okay, if you're a DI and you have an advantage on the 8 and the 10. And those are the numbers you have an advantage on. And you go to the table and you're betting 640 across. Good God. I mean, you're wasting your money. You ought to have all your money bet on the 8 and the 10. Why bet those other numbers? But people do that. So they're betting their hands wrong. That's why a lot of DIs lose. They're just not betting properly for their numbers. So, yeah, do those other tosses work? They can work if you can set the dice consistently every time, grip them consistently every time, toss them to the exact same spot on the table every time, at the same trajectory, the same altitude or whatever, over and over and over. I have said many times, I don't care if you shoot the dice out your ass if you can do it the same way every time. Now, I don't want to handle the dice after you, but there you go.
especially
I
if it's
believe
coming
that.
out of your ass.
I think that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Gargoyle looks
So
like he's
yeah,
chomping at the
I
bit
mean,
over there.
I'm with you, Heavy, and you know, I shoot par overhand and underhand for a bouncy table. I hold it differently. You know that, Heavy, because my fingers they sweat a lot.
Yeah.
Now I know other shots, and I can teach the mechanics. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I've said it to a lot of people. You know, nobody out there is doing the helicopter shot. Call it what you want. It's not the helicopter shot. And if you watch
Right.
the next show with Jeff Mutt and the Butthead, I'll show you what the technical helicopter shot is. Most people are
You got
shooting
a
the
helicopter
whip
on your
shot.
table back there
And
behind you, as a matter of fact.
that's why it's there. That helicopter is there for a reason, because it's going to be part of the show and tell. But
December
most of these
14th.
shots are random. Yeah, yeah. On the 14th, most of these shots are random. Um, I will not. You won't see me toss the helicopter shot, the chopper, and those two shots are different. The whip shot, or any of those shots, because in my opinion, they're just random. You know, just like people have strategies and none of them work. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. There's no perfect strategy. People have shots. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. There's no such thing as a perfect shot. But the closest that you can get as a DI is the par shot. And anybody anybody on the panel knows why it's called the par shot? What's the acronym stands for?
Yeah, it's Patterson rhythmic rolling, is
Patterson
it?
on access rhythm rolling.
Patterson
Patterson on
access.
access rhythm rolling.
Yep.
And so, um, but at some point, and I've told Cage, I've told others, at some point, when you have something that works for you and you can do it for you and you gain success with it, stick to it. It doesn't matter whether it's the real helicopter shot or if it's called chopper or the fizzy ball or the whip shot, or I don't care what the fuck you want to call it. If it's working for you and you can go to the casino and make money off of it or be an advantaged player, or it suits you, stick to it. Do what's best for you as an individual. Take what we're saying, take the best out of what we're saying and apply it to what's best for you. I guarantee you, Heavy taught me the same way what I'm trying to tell you now, and Ed knows this. These are opinions and life experiences. Take what you want out of them and make them work for you, whoever you are out there. You know, so the helicopter shot came up it was invented from the whip shot. All these throws that the dice roll in the air, it's from the old whip shot, which really is supposed to be illegal. Some casinos don't want you to throw it because it's like you hold the dice like this and you whip it. But then people figured out how to do it differently, and now it's kind of semi allowed. But and even old Cage will tell you he doesn't throw the helicopter shot, he throws the chopper. The helicopter shot is something completely different. And tune in on the 14th and I'll walk you through the mechanics of it. But you don't need 300 400 shots, just like you don't need 300 400 strategies. There is no holy grail. Let me put it this way: there is no holy grail. Stop
Right.
chasing the fucking holy grail. It doesn't exist. I've tried. I spent a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money. I took some of my savings and spent it chasing the holy grail. There is no holy grail of strategies. There is no holy grail of shots. You got some that work better than others in certain situations. Stick to what you know. Learn one shot, learn it effectively, learn how to use it at the casino, and learn how to manage it. Stick to one strategy per your shot.
You know,
Guys,
and I think that's important. I used the
Yeah,
same
okay.
shot. Wait, I had to learn. I had to decide. I had to make a decision. Do I want to use a shot that, like Heavy teaches? Do I want to use that shot, or do I want to use an off-axis shot? Well, mathematically and with an engineering background, I knew that there had to be a correct way to try to do this. And so, if you know a little bit about physics, doesn't take much, but if you just know a little bit, you'll figure out you don't need an off-axis shot. You need to find one that you can toss. Number one is it fits your body style, size, fingers, all those things. I mean, grips can be different things, but they can still the same toss in many respects. Like, some people will do like the claw grip or the bear grip or whatever. I mean, there's only a few people that are really good at it. Some people are always going to be a rhythm roller. They're going to take the dice, they're just going to toss them just as soon as they get them. But if you're going to try to do something that's scientifically proven and has a little bit of math behind it, you've got to figure out how you want to do that. And if you're going to do it with the traditional 3-finger grip, thumb in the rear, that kind of thing, I take that shot anywhere now on the table and I practice it. I can shoot it from stick right. Now, I don't throw it down the line because I'm old and I got arthritis. I throw it into the curve or the turn over there, but straight out from the hook, I ain't throwing nothing else but my 3-finger grip. And so that's all I concentrate on. So I guess that's what Gargoyle's saying, is take the shot that you're the best at, whether it's 2 fingers, like Darth Nader. I know Jeff throws a 2-finger grip. I know Gargoyle, you use the cut edges with a 2-finger grip. Is that correct? Yep. I mean, you've got certain things that work for you, and you just continue to work on the mechanics of that particular toss and leave all the other bullshit out. Don't try to experiment because you're just going to fuck yourself up.
And while you're on that subject, I'll just harken back to a post I saw somebody threw up trying to do a little chumming earlier. Somebody asked about our opinion of all the other internet channels out there that were posting people tossing the dice and different betting strategies and all that. And I'm not going to get into that, other than to say, don't go chasing the Holy Grail, just like Ed mentioned just now. Guys will get started off really strong. They'll come take a class with me and they'll get started off real strong, and they'll get home and maybe they'll lose their focus, they won't practice right or whatever, and the results will drop off, within 6 months of taking the class. And what's the first thing they do? They start looking at all these internet channels and all these different guys out there, and they start, well, what if I try this toss? What if I try? Then they really go down the toilet, and there's just so much crap out there. And I'm not going to tell you what's crap and what's not, because you guys are adults and you should know it yourself. So Just take time to think about what you're looking at from a mathematical and scientific point of view. Does the guy have a good grip? How do his dice look flying through the air? Are they landing softly? Are they bouncing back halfway across the table? Is he getting good, consistent results? Or is he rolling every number on the damn table? Is he getting repeating numbers? Is he jacking around with his damn edit on his video? Hmm? Are you really seeing what actually rolled?
There it
I don't
is.
know. But you know what? People ask me, Eddie, why don't you post videos of you rolling on the table? What would you like to see? I can make it say any fucking thing I want to, you know? So, I mean, I've got a video of my class from 2005. I'm still peddling cheap, So, uh, not much has changed. And we recorded several of our classes since then in their entirety, and I haven't seen any reason to go back and re-edit those and do another class video. I just don't see any point in it. And I'll get the guys challenging me online. We're heavy. I've got a channel. Why don't you have a channel? And what the fuck do I want to be on YouTube for? Just I don't need to be on
It's a
YouTube. Hell,
pain in the ass. I can promise you that.
I was doing this shit for real when you were hanging out in Podunk, selling storm siding or whatever the hell, storm windows or whatever. So, you know, now, uh, so there's a little bit of my opinion of the internet stuff. I'm just saying, watch it for entertainment value, but don't watch it to learn anything. If you find it interesting and amusing, by golly, watch it. Uh, Brian, Hawaiian Crap Shooters, posted something about the don't players. If you're a don't player, you always lose because you lose the dice. Was his comment he made earlier, and I want to come back to that because years ago, I think it was back about 2003, we did a seminar in Vegas where we tracked everybody's wins losses at the casino for the entire weekend. We had one guy from Canada that came down who was a don't player, and he shot from the don'ts all weekend. Every morning he went down to uh, Las Vegas Club. The tables were empty, and he would go in there and he would play $25, $50 don't pass bets, and he would set the point and 7 out and win. And then he'd get the dice right back because there's nobody else on the table. And he'd set a point and 7 out and win. And he'd just do this over and over and over for an hour at a time and win $700, $800, $900 in the morning before breakfast. And he'd show up in class, with a picture of his chips and
Well, that's what $5 bill does that on a lower scale.
yeah, on a lower
$5
scale.
bill. $5 bill plays all the time.
Yeah, the point is, go to the table when it's not crowded, and you get the damn dice right back. If you want to play the don'ts, you get the dice right back. You know, and they do not recognize you as being a dice controller having a hot hand because you keep 7 out. So the box man or stick man, or floor man, I'll get the guy right in a minute. The floor man just leaves you alone because this is just some idiot shooting from the don'ts over here. So they don't pay any attention to it, and you win your money and you leave. Now, uh, again, there are a lot of shows out there that are very entertaining. Just don't go out there and do something stupid, you know.
Well,
Yeah, and heavy. Let me add on to this. One of the reasons why I've actually enjoyed coming on, with Ed and Jeff and a few others here in this small community. It's a very, very small community. I've been on their channels in this community, and there are no edits. I mean, literally they're just talking. Just like Ed, one of my favorites is actually, I don't know if you remember old Tabletop 1 to 3. He's got
Oh yeah,
a channel out there, but he does it. He doesn't have any fancy cameras and stuff. He has a phone, and he just talks, and he's tossing, and sometimes he just sevens out, and he's like, you know what? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. but he's keeping it as real as possible. Those are, you kind of, whether you want to agree with this person or not, or you like what this person is saying or not, it doesn't matter. You kind of enjoy that because it's real. It is real, and we have some in this community, and I've been encouraging a lot of the communities to kind of watch what you be careful what you say on, when you're on the channel and stuff, because words have meaning and people are watching, and we want to educate a lot of the newcomers. Back when I started, remember, back when I started, there were no YouTubes. There were boards, and people, and I lost a lot of money listening to people on boards until I found you on one of the boards, and you helped me. Now there's YouTube, and there are players that don't know how to play, and they want to watch, YouTube, and learn. And honestly, sometimes they would go and watch these idiots that don't know what they're saying, because they think, oh, this person is on YouTube. They have a microphone, they have a camera. They must know what they're talking about. I'm going to go do what they're saying. And they take their hard earned money and they lose it.
Yep.
This community here, I think you'll be proud of some of the folks here on this little community. They they tell it like it is. And you know what? That's all you can ask for.
All right.
Yeah, we get typically, if you after this broadcast over, if you cruise around on the different craps Facebook groups, uh, you'll you'll hear some of those people that have those kind of websites and YouTube channels and the like will just crawl all over us about our posts and say nasty things about us and call us names.
all right.
And I'll be like, I don't recall mentioning your name. Why are your feelings hurt? You know. So there you go. Next.
Ed, were you trying to say something?
Well, I give you, you want me to take my filter off for a minute?
You could take your filter off. I just want to make mention before
You
you
know
take
what?
your
You know
filter
why
off.
there's so many damn strategy fucking videos out there? They don't know how to throw the fucking dice. They don't put in the time. They don't put in the effort. They don't have a table. They got a 4-foot shoebox that they're throwing dice in from three inches away, trying to show you how to make a fucking bet that's fucking stupid. That's why there's no shooting videos out there. There's only a few people out there that actually shoot the videos where they're shooting the dice instead of rolling the damn things from 3 feet from the fucking wall, and that's not allowed in a goddamn casino. That's the reason. They don't know how to shoot the dice. There, filter's done.
All right. I'm not going to touch that. Ed knows my story from a few months ago, and I'm going to let that go. We got a couple more questions here, guys. I do want to say that we pushed over the 2-hour mark. And Gargoyle, I saw your comment about 101 on Ed's channel. There's 42 on Mid-Atlantic Craps channel currently watching, but Ed has 65 likes, not 13. Refresh your screen, and you'll see that he has 65 likes. Guys, we appreciate the like. Going to go back about a half hour, and I'm going to ask you guys to kind of like sum this up, maybe in a yes, no, and maybe a 30-second comment, because this question has been asked a while ago while we were talking about crapless. And real quick, I'll put this up here. It comes from Ed's channel, Roll to Win. Do you play on the crapless table, or do you prefer regular craps? Yes, no, and why? And we'll go to Ed. Let's start with you, since you had your filter off.
I love crap. I don't play it all the time, but I don't shy away from playing it at all, because you know why? I think of myself as a shooter, and I'm going to try to shoot dice. I'm not looking to hedge. I'm not looking to play the don'ts on myself. I got a way to play the crapless on other people, and so it doesn't cost me much money if they don't throw it. I love playing crapless, especially up in Tunica, because all those guys come down from Memphis and they practice playing 12s, throwing 12s when it was a triple hit. Now they get 6 times on that thing. So, you go down to New Orleans to Harris and play crapless. You're going to see some of the best guys throwing horn numbers you ever seen in your life down there. So you just need to learn how to play it. Nobody makes you play it. And if you don't want to play the outside numbers, don't play them. Just play it like a regular table. Only thing is, you can't hedge. You know, if you're weak and you can't, and you got to have a hedge play or you got to have a don't play, you need to go on a regular table. That's the only difference.
All right.
You know,
Let's.
now this I'll finish up with this. It's a
All right.
dangerous game because you can get a lot of money out there in a hurry before you make a dime if you ain't careful.
Yep.
You got to figure out how you want to play that game to play.
All right. There you go. Heavy, we'll go to you and ask you the same question: crapless or regular, and why?
I look for the empty table, and that's the one I choose. I don't care if it's crapless or regular. I just want the dice. Now, last trip to Vegas, staying at Paris, walked downstairs, saw all the regular games full, one crapless table full, one crapless table empty. It was a $25 game. The others were 15. I don't mind playing that $25 game. I go straight out. I play my usual regular game come out set, which is a game within a game where I'm trying to throw the horn numbers and get them out of the way on the all tall small on the come out. I bet the extreme outside working on the come out, toss an 11 on the come out, get paid for it, use that payoff for my odds. So now I've got 100 odds back there behind that 11. Come back and bounce that right back. Pays me 25 on the line, 300 behind. Then we come back and do it again. Throw a freaking 12 on the come out, $25 times 6. And, you know, and it's just off for the races. In literally 20 minutes, I made $1,000 on that table. And almost everything I threw were extreme outside numbers because I was using an extreme outside number set. Now, short game. Get in, get up, get gone. Had I stayed there and played that game for 2 hours, I'd have probably lost money. But I didn't. I took my money and ran. And that's what you've got to do at crapless for sure. But any game, you need to be looking at the short game. But yeah, I love crapless. Play it all the time.
All right. We'll head to
Next.
we'll head to Gargoyle, crapless or regular, and why?
Heavy always says, see a crapless, play a crapless. Oh wait, no, he says see a horn, bet a horn. But yeah, crapless
Same thing.
all day long, all night long. Why? Because there are no don't players on it. So,
I knew he was going to say that. I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah, and also because good old John doesn't like it. So I love every time I go play it now. Every time I go play it now, I'm gonna just think of John, and then I'll take a picture of my chips and send it to him. We gotta teach John how to play the game right, guys. Come on.
We get to Vegas, we could go play that at the Stratosphere because they'll let you lay a number down there on the don'ts on their crapless game.
Don't do it against me. I'm going to throw that away. I'm going to throw that no 4 that you got hedging.
All right. Here's the next question,
I'm
guys.
going to throw that no 4.
Yeah. Let's move along. Here's the next question. It comes from Arnell from an hour ago. Does the panel always play the ATS or bonus bet on themselves? And I'd just be interested in the panel's position on the bonus bet in general.
Yeah. I'll say it's a positive expectation bet for us because most of us have the skills to hit it. It's damn sure a positive expectation bet with my buddy Darth Nader. That guy is a machine. I mean, he's got his little cheat sheet with all his sets on it that he needs for every number on the layout. And when he gets down to the point that he needs a 3 craps, of course, he's got them all memorized at this point, but he needs a 3 craps, sets the dice, boom, bangs it out. The guy's a machine. So, most of us are going to hit one side or the other at least once in the session. And there's a good chance we're going to hit the full thing at least once a day. So if you get 3 or 4 of us together playing, you got a good shot at getting multiple payoffs a day on the damn thing. So I always play it on myself and always play it on the other guys I'm playing with when we're in a group setting like that.
All right.
I play it on myself every time. Every time. And then if it's a good looking woman who's never thrown the dice before, I'm going to go play it on her as well.
All right.
Right. It's
Let's,
just
let's
true.
get.
I mean, I'll play it on a few randoms here and there. Maybe I've won, maybe I'm, whatever, but I don't go heavy on it. I mean, I might go 5-5-5. That's a $15 bet. It's got a decent return if it hits. If it don't hit, it's $15. On ourselves, Gargoyle is going to play a lot heavier than I am. He's on this side of me. I'm sorry, it stays that way. And did we
just
lose
lost
heavy?
Yeah, we did lose heavy. We did lose heavy at the moment. We'll see if he comes back. Lost his video. His audio is still here.
Yeah, I've always played on myself. And, Gargoyle is going to play it heavier on himself than I'm going to play it on myself. I mean, 25, 25, 25 is most I ever played on myself. He's probably going to go a lot higher.
All right, Gargoyle, your turn.
I have a separate bankroll for the bonus bet, and if I'm shooting, I'm playing whatever the max allows me to. In Biloxi, it's either 25 or 50 or whatever it is. Sometimes they only let you put 10, 10, 10. But if I'm in Vegas, like I usually go to the boat to the Bellagio because they let you put 200 each. So, but it has a different bankroll. It has a separate bankroll. I have a bankroll for my regular play, and I have a bankroll for my bonus bets. And I treat those. I keep up with them and treat them separately. But if they allow me to put 200 on each, I will put 200. At some point, it will hit and it will replenish and add a whole lot more to my bankroll.
All right. I'm not sure if it's my headset or your mic, but I had a little
There was
difficulty.
it sounded like he was underwater, didn't it? There was a lot of bubbles in that.
Yeah. It did. You might want to check that, but we'll move on. Were you done with that, Gargoyle? I didn't want to cut you off. Were you done?
Yes. No.
Okay.
I was done.
All right. Yeah. There's a little, like Ed said, a little bit of water in
Weird
your.
thing going on with his microphone now.
Yeah, I think maybe he might have spilled a little brown water on his mic, but he doesn't drink the brown water. So here's a question for Heavy. Came in from Super Mario. It says, has YouTube benefited Heavy having more people interested in his game and the classes?
Well, I'm not on YouTube, so
No, I
help
think he
me a
said
damn
the people.
bit.
I think the question is the people that are on YouTube, have they driven you business?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
who knows? I mean, I'm sure Roll2Win. I've gotten some business from Ed, some referrals from him. Uh, I have a little bit of a link exchange going with Brian over at Hawaiian Crap Shooters, and so we kind of talk back and forth and promote each other's stuff a little bit. But as far as YouTube is concerned, I don't allow anybody that's just a random member of my groups to post links to YouTube on my Facebook group. And most Facebook groups are just cluttered with those things. I have like 4, maybe 5 people that I let post YouTube links on my group, and they're limited to 1 a week. And most don't even do that much. They just don't try to take advantage of it. And it's because they know my opinion of it. I mean, I make it very plain in my terms of service that I think most of that stuff is pure crap. Most of them are posting their videos purely because they're trying to build viewers so they can monetize their sites. And they're not interested in you, the shooter. They're not interested in teaching you anything. They are trying to get something going on with YouTube where they can monetize their site, or they can crank up a Patreon site and charge you, $1.49 a month to be a member of their Patreon site. Or like one cat, $10 a month to his 300 members. Hey, do the math on that and figure out where this guy's getting his casino bankroll. So, and yeah, I did do some YouTube videos with with UR Comp. They asked me to do some Q&A videos with them to promote the craps cruises I do. So I've done a series of YouTube videos with them. I think we did about 20 of them. I think they actually released about a dozen or so of them. And but that's on UR Comp's channel. And but I don't really have a YouTube channel as such. I may have a page somewhere on YouTube, but I don't think I've got any videos on it. I might have had one back in my day when I was working in the car business, where I kept some business related stuff on back in those days, but nothing in these days. Uh, and have I considered doing it? Yeah, I've got about 10, 15, maybe 20 videos on my hard drive on my computer now that I could upload tomorrow if I hadn't gotten crossways with copyright issues on the music I use. The music I used was supposedly I downloaded it from a website that said they were all copyright free songs, but apparently YouTube decided that the music I used was close enough to somebody else's music that they wanted to charge me $189 a year to use it. So I went into fuck off mode and just shelved all the videos and haven't done anything else with them since. But I'd have to pull all the music tracks out and then find other music that I liked, and the abundance of crappy, free music out there, and haven't seen anything I liked enough yet to use. So those videos are just sitting there. Someday I'll get those loaded up, and gee, it'll be like I'm young again because it'll be 5 years old.
All right.
Who is
We
that
have
young
two.
guy doing for me?
We have two questions left that I found that haven't been unanswered. And one of them goes all the way back to the start of the show. But real quick, can somebody answer Hurricane Ida's question? Ida. I'd call her Hurricane Ida because that's what Big AZ calls her. But him. But why do craps tables have mirrors on one side?
I got that one. That's for the purpose of the box man. It's a game protection thing. Uh, there are a lot of ways to make crooked dice. Okay, but hang on, I'm going to reach a pair of dice. There are dice called tops that cheaters use, and tops would be dice that have, let's just say, they had. Get this up here in the right place. Let's just say they had fives on this side, and instead of having twos on the other side, like this, they would have fives on that side also. And here they would have fours, and instead of having threes on this side, they would have fours on that side also. So those are called tops. And those dice would only roll sixes and eights and fives and nines. And those are crooked dice. And if you substitute tops in the game, you're going to have a hand there where the guy throws nothing but inside numbers. Nothing but inside numbers. Nothing but inside numbers. So when the stick person has a dice in the middle and is mucking them around, raking them and turning them over, that's so the box person can see those dice in the mirror and see if they're tops or not. And Adam mentioned they're also so the box man can see the payouts. Now that's another issue, and I'll mention that here in just a second. It's also so the eye in the sky can watch the dice to make sure that they're fair dice. But it's to prevent crooked dice from being substituted in the game so the box man can see it. Now, Adam mentioned it's also to help the box man watch for the payouts. But the box man is only watching one side of the table. So everybody at the table's got a job. Now, if the stick person is standing here, his job is to watch the dice all the way down to that end of the table, and then to watch that end of the table when the bets are being paid. The box man, in turn, has to watch the other end of the table when the bets are being paid, because the house wants somebody watching the dealers on each end of the table paying the bets in case there's a mistake. So the stick person will correct the person on the end the dice went to, and the box person will correct the person on the other end. Now, there's no mirror on this side of the table for the stick person to watch this guy pay the bets. He just watches them. Now, the box person could see the person's hands. He could see if somebody's past posting a bet or something like that from both ends of the table. But the box person is not supposed to be watching that end of the table where the dice went. He's supposed to be watching that end of the table. That's his fucking job. Now, what happens in a real casino in the real world? They throw the dice down here, and everybody at the table, both dealers and the box person, watch the dice. Which is why on the end where the dice come from is where all the cheating happens, not on the end where the dice land. So that's where the past posting bets go on, all that kind of crap. So anyway, I'll go now. Have I ever seen anyone slip in fixed dice? I will mention this one time because I've told this story before. I was at the old Grand in Gulfport, Mississippi, years ago. This was back around 2003. They had, I think there were 4 tables on the outside side of the casino. I was at the second table, and then there was a aisle through there, and there was one other table by itself. And there was a player playing by himself at that table. He was like at stick left, throwing the dice. And I'm at this other table next to it, and I'm playing. There's several of us playing at that table. And all of a sudden, security comes in and tackles this guy and takes him to the floor and puts him in handcuffs. And then the police come and they haul his ass away. And then the floor man comes over to our table just laughing his ass off. And I asked, what the hell was that all about? And he said, we had a colorblind dice cheat. And I'm like, what do you mean a colorblind dice cheat? And he said, we sent out green dice and he threw red back in. So if you're red, green, shifted colorblind, which most colorblind people have trouble with red and green, don't try to be a dice cheat because both of these dice are going to look the same color to you. And this guy, they had sent him out one color dice and he threw another color in, and it got him arrested. So yeah, I've been at not at the table when it's happened that I've been aware of, but I was in the casino when it happened, and it was funny. They actually caught me.
And that color blindness is true because we played with a guy in Biloxi one time. He was one of the students.
He's
Good
a
friend of
regular.
ours.
Yeah.
Very regular guy, but he's colorblind. And we were at this table where this long hand was happening that 22 inside was throwing. And he's like, all right, we're at 180 and we've collected. And he says, okay, what do I do next? I said, you drop in 30. He picked up 2 red chips. Instead of a green and a red, he picked up 2 red chips. And he threw them out there and said, take me to 420. And of course, that ain't going to get there. That's even better than the memo press. But, it's just not going to work. He had to explain to him, so I'm sorry, I'm colorblind. He gave him, we pointed to the green chips. Did you give him one of those? But yeah, it's the red and greens are big problems for people with color blindness.
Yeah.
So that's funny that the guy threw in the wrong color dice.
I kind of saved this question towards the end of the show. Ed, it's your show. It's 2.5 hours into it. This one's probably going to take a few minutes. You can decide after what we're going to do after we get this question. This is for both Gargoyle and Heavy. What has changed, if anything, from playing craps decades ago to playing craps today?
Want to go first?
Go ahead. I don't mind going first because, I've been playing 30 years, or 30 plus, but the biggest change, in my opinion, is the ATS bet, the all tall small bonus bet. I think those side bets those bonus type bets have changed the game. I think the ATS has changed it more than anything else. Because when I first started, I mean, there was like you just played, you earned every dollar you took off the table. You didn't worry about bonus bets. There weren't such a thing. Hot bets weren't even around. I don't think when I played started. So they might have been, but I don't remember them because I don't do a lot of hot betting. Um, so I think everybody was doing com bets with odds and stuff 35 years ago. That's changed. But the biggest game changer I think has been the all tall small. And I've heard numerous box people and floor managers and stuff we've had conversations with say that it has changed the game a lot, and it not necessarily for the better. For a DI, it has, but you got a lot of people who'll sit there and play 5-5-5, and they're just a pass line bet and nothing else. They're just trying to get a lightning strike. That's changed the game, in my opinion, for them people to the worse.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Gargoyle?
I would say that, in my opinion, the biggest change are the actual tables themselves and the layouts and the way the casinos are now, you know, um, putting them, for shooters. I remember back a long time ago, layouts were felt, but you could go in and find a hard or semi-hard table to play on. You can't find those anymore. Most tables are semi-bouncy to bouncy. Hard tables are very difficult to find. And of course, the layouts have changed to more the colorful, from felt to the microfiber. Now, people have different opinions on why layouts and stuff change. Um, I'm, I, 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 I don't think that the casino is intentionally doing something to hurt DI or the game itself. I think they're doing it so that they can just get better at what type of colorful and displays they can do. And just like they're now bringing in electronics game and all that stuff to introduce. So they're trying different things to bring in the younger generation and because a lot of the older generation is just growing old and passing. So they're trying different things, but to me the biggest change is the tables themselves and the type of layouts that go on with them.
All right. Heavy?
Wow, these guys covered a whole lot of stuff there, but none of them have mentioned going way back stuff.
Way back.
Man, top game
Well,
has
well, we're not.
changed.
I'm not as old as you.
Yeah, I know. Just, I'm just, remember the age of hand comps when you could just say, uh, "Hey, Bobby, what I got to do to get a comp for the steakhouse?" And 3 minutes later, he's handing you a chip for it. You just color up, go eat a steak, and then come back and play some more. And that doesn't happen anymore. It's, oh, well, let me see if you have enough on your card, and we have to take your points first before we can give you a comp and all this bullshit. And, if you got a comped room back in the day, you got a comped room. There were no fucking resort fees. I mean, what are you doing with a resort fee? You're paying for a damn room. Give me a break. So, yeah, I miss the mob days when you could call up, you know, Jimmy Gambula Campisi, and say, hey, buddy, what's up, Paisan? I need a room for 4 nights, coming in on this date. I'd like to take my bride out for a little steak dinner on the first night. And, yeah, and no problem, man. Come on in. We're glad to see you. Here's your confirmation number, whatever. And it's done, and this shit just doesn't happen anymore. So, yeah, I miss those days in Vegas. Tables, yes, you're absolutely right. They have changed for the worse. They've gotten so tall that fat boys and short people can't lean over them anymore without hurting themselves. They need to get those things shortened back down a couple of inches. They need to think in terms of not going so crazy with the underlays and everything. I mean, good grief. One guy's using polyurethane, one guy's using felt, one guy's using uh, what do you call
Microfiber.
it? Closed cell
Microfiber.
foam. I'm talking about the underlay, not the felt, not the layout itself.
Oh,
Just about everybody's using microfiber these days, which we've all gotten used to. But there's microfiber, there's micro suede, there's micro this, micro that. There's 6 different kinds of it. Some of it has a nap, some of it does not have a nap. If it has a nap, does the nap run east west? Does the nap run west south? Does it? I mean, is it a swirly nap? What is it going to do with the dice when they hit it? Yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of things you have to sort out on that. So each table's got its own bounce characteristics, and each one you've got to figure out. That's why every stinking one of us has our favorite tables we play in Vegas, you know. And so when people ask me, where are you going to be playing tonight, Heavy? Well, I'm going to be playing at blank, blank, blank casino. You're going off the strip? You bet your fat ass I am. You know, why? Well, because number one, it's a smooth, hard table. Number two, it's a 12-foot table. Number three, it's got the ATS bet on it with the true odds instead of that lowered odd bullshit. You know, I mean, you go down the list. This is why I play there. Yeah, I mean, and pick your casino. You know, that's where I have my best hands. I go there. They don't like that casino. I'm sorry. You want to play with me? That's where we're going. You know, if you don't, have fun on the strip playing on these bouncy ass tables over here. You know, I don't care. So, uh, yeah, you got your favorite tables. I like to go downtown and play at the freaking Fremont. Why do you want to play at the Fremont? You know, $1,000 max they got. They got uh, whatever, 2 times odds. You know, so I can play a double odds game all day. I can place the point on top of that. Not a problem. You know. So I got a $15 bet with 30 odds. I want more than that on it. I can place $120 on that number. No problem. I still get paid. So what's the big deal? Play at the casinos where I get paid the best because that's where I win the most because those are the best tables for my toss. Now, has that changed? Well, yeah, that's certainly changed over the years. Tables have changed. Table conditions have changed. Something that hasn't been mentioned is heat. Okay? Heat back 25 years ago, unheard of. We never got heat at the tables. And then, when, without mentioning his name, but his initials are Frank Scabletti, got involved in the dice control business, and God knows that motherfucker was never a dice controller. Okay, I mean they had to train him how to be a DI when he went to Golden Touch because he was not a dice influencer. He was not a dice setter. You know, he had to go back and rewrite his beat the crap out of the casino book to make it look like the captain was the world's first dice setter. Revised in whatever year it was revised in to make it say that. But anyway, that's when we started getting heat. We started getting heat with the Dice Dominator, the world's greatest dice controller, was advertised all over the freaking world. You know, you get that going on with him on television and the Dice Dominator show on the History Channel or Discovery Channel or whichever the freaking one it was. And the next thing you know, we're getting pounded in every casino we go. Every time you go to sit the dice, oh, you've had a class with the Dice Dominator. No, I was doing this before him, but you know, it's okay. Oh, you've had a class with Frank Scabletti. I saw my buddy Roadrunner near whip a guy's ass one time for asking him if he'd had a class with Frank Scabletti. I mean, it was crazy. George was all over this little bastard. But anyway, uh, so seriously, you know, I mean, Frank, great writer, very entertaining, knows a lot about writing and dinner theater. And
That's about it.
I'm sure his shooting evolved over the years. But seriously, the best shooter they had in their camp, in my opinion, was always Howard Newman. And every time Howard tossed a big hand in the casino, like, I, an 83 number hand, what happened? 2 weeks later, magically, Frank would toss an 85 number hand. And it would be witnessed by, somebody in the, well, whatever, in their group, magically. So until the captain had his wonderful, what was it, 150 number hand supposedly in Atlantic City at the Boyd property there, and nobody at Boyd remembered it. How does that work out? Anyway, what I'm
Well, you know
saying
how
is
it
there's
is.
certain reasons why we started getting heat in the dice industry or dice control business back around 2004, 2005, 2003, somewhere along in there. And it just went on and on and on until one of the big names in the casino security industry announced at a big security meeting with casino owners and management teams that, hey, look, these guys are these guys are bringing you business, you know. And sure, there's a handful of them out there that are good that can win and make money at the tables, but they're bringing you much more than that, and you just need to leave them the fuck alone. You know, they're serving as table starters for you. They're going to empty tables and getting them cranked up. The tables fill up, and when the tables fill up, they leave. So, what the hell? Just leave them alone, you know. So the heat backed off for a while, and then next thing you know, it the heat comes back for some reason. So it's an ebb and tide with the heat thing, and we've seen it in our live sessions. We never get heat in Biloxi, and yet this last section where we've had some new personnel at the casino down there because of turnover, suddenly one of our guys got heat. Now I will admit, Binky got a little carried away with his short rolls and uh, extremely short rolls. I mean,
Yes,
you got to
I was there
pass the
right next to
you got to get them past the
right
see and
there next
come, you know. And there comes a time when you get it happening, and uh, if you don't get the dice
to
down at least to the back wall, you're going to get hammered, you know. And that's what happened, you know. I mean,
especially when they start warning you a lot, and then if you give
oh
them
yeah,
lip
I
back,
mean,
it's going to get worse. You're
oh
not
yeah,
going to win that argument, folks. You're
you're
not going
not
to
going to
win
win.
that argument.
All you can do is say apologize. I'll do my best to do better, and bang them off the back. Turn your bets off and bang them off the back wall. You know, but
Right.
you know that happens. But seriously though, I mean, there have been things in this business that have caused us to get heat as dice influencers through the years. You could lay it right back at the feet of the people that have been out there promoting this shit nationwide with big books on the bookshelves, big doing their seminars in casinos, which is what Scabletti was doing in Tunica, Mississippi, when they got barred from the state of Mississippi, which they wear that as a badge of honor, badge from banned from Mississippi because we were so good. No, you were banned from Mississippi because you were trying to do a seminar in the fucking casino and they didn't like you doing it, you know. So, you know, whatever. You know, you can say you were banned for whatever you want to say you were banned for. You're banned from casino down the road here because you advertise you're a card counter on your website and you teach card counting. You can't do that and go into the casino and expect to play blackjack and not get booted out of the casino with a trespass letter, you know. So, what can I say? I
Can
teach
you
advantage roulette. Yeah,
can
you
you
know, you think they're going to boot me out of the casino for teaching somebody how to play roulette? Not freaking lightly, you know. But
can you
it
answer
is
that
what it
question right there? What were the table minimums like back in the day?
back in the day. You know, I never played on much less than a $3 table. There were 25-cent games around back in the day when I was playing, but mostly I played on $3 tables. I played on some dollar tables, but
You can
mostly
play. You
$3.
can play $1 at Joker's Wild.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done that. Thanks to Aloha Johnny, who took me over to all these places where I thought I was gonna get mugged, shot at, knifed, all in the same session.
Oh, John may be on here with us today. I don't know. He texted me earlier and asked me if we were going to be on chatting after a while. So I don't know if he signed on or not.
Old Johnny boy. Boy,
Yep.
he knew Vegas, but yeah, I played on $1 table at Joker's.
Yeah,
Wild.
yeah,
You
yeah.
bet $1.
But anyway, the heat has come and gone, and it continues to come and go, and a lot of that's carryover from old guys, and a lot of it happens like it happened at Caesars right after the place was sold, to El Dorado. Suddenly guys that had not given me heat in 5-6 years were suddenly giving me heat. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And they won't tell you, but I know what it is. It's because they got a new boss, and they're all scared for their damn jobs. I can sympathize with that. I understand, having 20 years with the company and then the company changes hands and suddenly you're worried about being out of a job. Then again, in Vegas, how could you be afraid of losing a job in a casino right now because they're short-handed in every damn department, So there you go.
All
I
right.
rattle on too long. Stepped on too many
No.
dicks.
No, I need to let Gargoyle know that your microphone has actually gotten worse now. I don't know if reconnecting may fix it or not, but I'm going to go to Ed. Ed, it's 2 hours and 50 minutes now into your Christmas, or as I call it, the Crapsmas Special. How would you like to proceed?
Well, if you got any more questions, we'll answer questions. I'm in no big hurry, but we're not going to stay up all night. Jeff, you're the
I
moderator.
got nothing else to do.
Hey,
nothing
did
else
we
to
ever
do.
get that part out about opinions are our own and it's not Jeff or your fault?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got that in
Everything
early?
Heavy said is on Heavy. It's not on me or Jeff.
There you go.
Yeah.
But, it's funny. You talk about people coming up to you. Did you take a class from Scobletti? They asked you. I'm standing at Paris. I don't even know if you remember. We had this chicken feeder following us around at one of the classes there in Las Vegas just a couple of years ago because I hadn't been in a long time. He caught a big roll for me at Cromwell, and then we kind of diddled it out around, end up at the Paris. Me and 2 or 3 guys end up at Paris, and he comes over to me and he says, "Did you take lessons from King Dice?"
That little Asian guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. I
And
complained to
I
the
turned
kid
around.
about being in Flamingo and had him thrown out.
Do I look like somebody who would fucking take lessons from King Dice?
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, I did." And I said, "I ain't seen you shoot all day. All I've seen you do is bet on me. So, no, I ain't taking no classes from no King Dice. I don't even know who he is."
Yeah.
So.
That guy was out bird dogging for him, trying to hustle customers for him. He tried to give me one of his pamphlets. I'm like, you fucking shitting me? I said, this guy hijacked damn images off my website, copyrighted material, and blotted out the copyrights on them and put his logo on top of my copyright and posted them on his website as his own. I had to send him an intellectual property notification by email and tell him I was fixing to sue his ass if he didn't take them down. And so that's the kind of character you're dealing with there. And no, I called Floorman over and told him this guy was a nuisance. They needed to get his ass out of there. They run him out of Flamingo. But I guess he caught back up with you over at Paris. So.
He did.
Well, they're out there. So that's another one of those guys that was all over the internet, and now he's making pizzas in Las Vegas, and selling pizzas. So he's King Pizza.
Yeah. If I ever go there, I'm gonna order something from him.
All right, let's move it on real quick. Dice Grinders Arnell has a question from about 20 minutes ago. He would like to see both Heavy and Gargoyles show their toss live on YouTube. I know Gargoyle, you're
Everybody
thinking
will.
about doing it sometime early next year with us. Heavy, what do you say?
I
Well,
don't
we got
have a
camera
problem
angles.
showing somebody. I don't have a problem showing somebody my toss. I just don't want to get involved in anything too deep. You know, shit. I'm fucking 74 years old. I practice about a week before I do a class, and about a week before I go to Vegas anymore. I've been doing this so damn long, so I don't practice as much as I used to. But I can still toss a hand.
All right, Ed, were you ready to say something?
I'll just say we don't have Gargoyle don't even have any rails up. He's getting his rails rebuilt on his table. Heavy's talking to us on a laptop. You know, so I mean, we don't have the camera angles like me or you do on our regular shows. I mean, I appreciate
don't
the
have.
question. I appreciate the
I don't have
question,
all
and
that.
nobody's
I've got-
going to run from that. I mean, I'll tell you this much: when you take a class from Heavy, you're going to get to play with Heavy, and you're going to get the good, you're going to get the bad, and you're going to get the freaking awesome. Whatever happens, happens. He's not going to be one of those guys in the coaching atmosphere that says, "Oh, I don't play with my students," because he schedules time to play with the students. All right, there's a specific time to play with students, and then there's all the other times that he's on the tables and students play with him. So, you know, he doesn't hide it. I mean, you know, we're all PSO, and we're all capable of a long roll, and we're all going to have average hands. That's just the way it is, and Heavy does not hide it. So I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to hide anything. We don't have the shit to do it with tonight. We're not set up for that.
Oh, not tonight. No. All right. Gargoyle, we'll try your microphone again. Is there something that you wanted to say there?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Am I better?
Yeah, it sounds like you're underwater. We can hear you and make it out, but it wasn't as good as it was in the beginning of the show. We'll work on that for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Appreciate Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks, Heavy. It's been a while since I've talked to you, so thanks.
And we'll catch up on the phone.
Yes.
All right. Ed, I'm the moderator. It's your show. It's your Christmas special or the Crapsmas special.
Right.
Anything you want to wrap up with?
We've been on a long time, and I appreciate each and every. I saw a couple of super chats come in on my side.
Yep.
I appreciate them more than I can express. And I know we've done a lot of cussing tonight, and we've done a lot of non-filtered talk. But I will say this: there's not a more important time right now in this world for us to have goodwill towards each other in this world, and peace and goodwill towards men, because that's the season, and that's why we celebrate this type of this season right now. And there's not a more important time in the history of this world, I don't think, for us to be that way. And I know I run my mouth without a filter. We all have tonight, but in reality, we're all humans. We're all part of this race, and we need to have more goodwill towards each other in a worldly fashion. I really mean that. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope all of you have a great holiday season, however you celebrate. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. And I want everybody to have long hands and hard ways, and Happy New Year's for 2024.
All right. I want to say it's been a pleasure working with Gargoyle over the past month or so. We do have a show coming up, Ed, myself, and Gargoyle, next Thursday, December 14th. We're going to have a special announcement during that show, and we're going to bring back some of the Gargoyle's tricks of the, what do you call that, Gargoyle? You call it something?
Tricks of the trade.
Tricks of the trade. We're going to bring that back. Yep, and I want to extend a sincere thank you to Heavy. You probably don't remember, but I got locked out of your forum, and you helped me about a month and a half or 2 months ago. I was the dummy that couldn't get the password reset, and you helped me. So I want to,
Not
I want to,
unusual.
uh, I wanted to
I run
thank
a
you for
very
that.
old
And
software that
yeah,
falls apart sometimes.
and we'll give you two the final word before we get out of here. We'll start with Heavy. Any final words?
I will just kind of echo what Ed said. We don't always realize how blessed we are coming into this season. You know, I've made no secret in my newsletter or online the fact that I had one of those so-called Widowmaker heart attacks back in September and survived that and got a couple of stents packed in and I'm alive and well today thanks to some good doctors. But there are a lot of folks out there that are sick this holiday. I got a call from one of my best craps pals this afternoon, at December 22nd. He's having surgery for bladder cancer. This is the fourth one of my guys in 20 years that I know that's had bladder cancer, and two of the previous three survived it really well. One of them did not last too long after getting it, but
Sorry to hear
you
that.
know, we're keeping our thoughts and prayers. And if you guys have anyone that is in the same situation, just offer them up, and we'll keep them in our prayers as well. Uh, we, like we say, we talked ugly about some folks tonight, and we don't wish anybody any ill will. We just want them to get better. So we wish the same thing for you. Uh, Again, guys, we hope you'll, if you're not a member of my Facebook group, you come over and join. There's no charge. Uh, and we don't talk about race, religion, politics, sexual orientation. I've got a whole list of things that we don't do. It's a craps and gambling discussion group, and we have a great time talking about those topics. There are plenty of forums out there, plenty of groups where that other stuff's allowed. We do not allow any cyberbullying. You can't call anybody a dickwad like I did tonight because I'll put you in timeout, and if you do it twice, you're gone. And if you're bad enough of a first time offender, you're gone anyway. So, you know, we just don't have any bad behavior in our groups. And that's unlike a lot of unmoderated groups out there where people get away with saying anything they want to. Good bunch of players, and we have a lot of guys and gals that hook up with people they meet on the group for live sessions in the casino and make friends for life through the group. So that's great news as well.
All
So
right.
enjoy yourselves. Have a great holiday. Happy New Year. Be looking forward to seeing some of you. Hey, there's old Big Shot. Hey, buddy. And hope things are going great up in St. Louis. And we'll see you guys down the road next year.
All right. Thank you, Heavy. Gargoyle, you're going to have the final word, and then we're going to get out of here.
I hope you guys can hear me better. I
Oh, it's
disconnected
better now.
recently.
Yes. Yep. Much
Yeah,
better.
so it's a new camera. Its microphone is built in, and I'm trying to figure it out. But I really enjoyed it. It was fun talking to my uh, best bud and bankroll savior. I call him my bankroll savior. Heavy, and he's taught me a lot. And I just want to tell everyone out there, you know, I I know that we're doing this for entertainment, but also I hope you're learning something and it can help you with your game, your bankroll, or anything. Because that's just me personally. I'm here just to help out others and with my experience, and I hope that people are enjoying it and things are being helpful. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And there you go, Ed. Somebody's saying all he wants for Christmas or Crapsmas is another brownwater bass, #2. You got a big
All right.
request here
So,
last week.
I've got three venues that I'm trying to figure out in my head, and I want to make sure that they don't interfere. I even had a conversation today with Heavy. I gotta go look it up, see what he's got on his calendar. I don't want to interfere with anything on his calendar for sure. But yeah, there probably will be a brown water bash. There might, and I'm looking at, and I've actually got 3 venues I'm thinking about, and I might be stupid enough to do all 3 at different times throughout the year. Right? I mean, my host is begging me to come to Tunica and bring in a group of folks just play again, and then I'd love to do later on in Biloxi like I always did, and then hell, I've got somebody trying to get my ass into Vegas, so we'll see. I ain't been to Vegas in 3 years, so we'll see. Thinking about all 3, I'll let people know if we do it.
All right. Well, on that note, we wish everybody a happy holiday season. Like Ed said, regardless of what you're celebrating for the season, do it in good faith and be kind to one another. This world is in great turmoil and a lot of weird stuff going on. As I said, there's a lot of craps on YouTube these days, as any other gambling channel there is. Like everybody on this panel here said today, if you're going to watch it, look at it from an entertainment standpoint. Consider the value that you're getting. And I think we talked about it, Ed, on the very first show we did with Gargoyle. We talked about, somebody asked a question, if I wanted to take a class, who should I take it from? And it's word of mouth is best, and we got one of the best people here on the show tonight. If you're interested, he has excellent reputation. So there, I'll put a little plug in there for you, Heavy, and we'll see what happens. Guys, we're going to get out of here. Next Thursday night, it's Gargoyle, Ed, and me back. I believe it's going to be start time. I've probably going to be 8 o'clock your time, Ed, 9 o'clock mine, but it may be earlier. We'll take a look at that. We've got a special announcement. Gargoyle is going to give us a special announcement next week. Tricks of the trades. Till next week, guys. Ed, practice like you play like you practice, and I'll say be smart and play smart, and we'll see you on the next one.